Our male protagonist, Seyoung, is known to everyone as a genius composer. He was so engrossed in his work that he forgot about his family, sending money home only once a month to his father and younger sister to cover their living expenses. At the peak of his career, disaster struck Seyoung due to his arrogant demeanor. He became embroiled in a scandal that led to a widespread boycott by fans and forced entertainment companies to cancel their contracts with him. When his father fell seriously ill, he realized he had taken the wrong path. The sudden heart attack caused Seyoung to faint, thinking his life was ending right there, but a miracle happened, bringing Seyoung back to the past before he was famous. Will he balance family and career with this opportunity, or will he repeat his past mistakes? Let's follow the upcoming series to find out. The tense atmosphere filled the entire room. Moonsok knelt on the floor, desperately pleading with Seyoung, "I am begging you, please give me a chance." Despite his sincerity, Seyoung still replied coldly, "I already said no. Moonsok, my song can't just appear whenever you want. Inspiration has to come at the right moment." Moonsok still hasn't given up on convincing him 2 billion won. "I sold my house, my car, borrowed from the bank, even took out high-interest loans. We put everything into this album. If you don't give me the song, I'm done for," tears of despair streaming down Moonsok's cheeks. Even if he spoke with a hoarse voice, it wouldn't shake Seyoung's decision. "Go see Grandpa and Grandma," he said, while flashing a delighted smile at Moonsok. Just a few days later, the news delivered a shocking update. The latest report revealed that the CEO of CS Entertainment, Mr. Moonsok, was found to have logged out at his private residence. The will and the recording of the late director Moonsok reveal that the fault lies with the musician A. The news just broke, and netizens immediately speculated, the musician A must be Seyoung. He's infamous for being a terrible person. I've heard he's known for bullying others, and his love life is quite scandalous too. Since that incident, Seyoung has been restless. Why has it come to this? Everyone is calling for a boycott of him across all social media platforms. Seyoung reflected on his arrogance at that time and thought he should have included the song. Now there are even baseless rumors, with posts accusing Seyoung of school violence. "Lin, I knew it. Just by looking, you can tell he's a thug." He wondered to himself, what did I do wrong? Now everyone is labeling Seyoung as a murderer. People say that misfortune never comes alone. Seyoung quickly ran to the hospital. As soon as he saw his sister, he shouted, "Hana!" The girl turned her tear-streaked face to look at her brother. Seyoung anxiously asked, "No other way out. What do you mean? Why didn't you say anything to me when things got this far?" The girl hesitated. "I was going to tell you, but..." The father sat by the hospital bed using hand signs to talk to his child. "Why are you two arguing?" Seyoung turned to reassure his father. "No, but are you okay, my deaf father?" He had to fight pancreatic cancer for a long time. The cancer cells have spread, and the doctor said he doesn't have much longer to live. Since that incident, everything has been in chaos. Huna stood outside sadly, sneaking a glance at her brother. To ease their father's worries, Seyoung and Huna went outside to talk privately. After the recent commotion, he could only tell his younger sister not to worry, as he could continue creating under a new stage name. Even if you cause an accident while driving, get exposed for a scandalous life, or get caught using drugs, just stay out of the public eye for a few months and people will forget. Huna gently asked, "But can't we just leave it all behind? Just think of this as a chance to rest. Dad is sick and you need to be there to take care of him," Seyoung firmly replied. "No way. You worked so hard to gain this talent, sacrificed so much to build this reputation, you can't let it all go up in smoke like this. Your dad will handle it." As soon as he finished speaking, he stood up and left. Only Huna was left here. She closed her eyes tightly in helplessness before her brother's stubbornness. Misfortune kept striking Seyoung. Due to numerous unfavorable rumors, the entertainment company was forced to cancel his contract. Seyoung was utterly shocked upon receiving this decision. He stood up and told him about his own talents. "My director is Seyoung, Seyoung the genius composer whom the great Moonsok of the music industry wishes to collaborate with. The one who created the miracle of an 8-week consecutive #1 hit on the Billboard charts. That's me, director. You abandoned me just because of a fake stage name." The director turned around and explained the reason to Seyoung, just because. Seyoung, for public figures, handling Kondu is just as important as the Kondu itself. The important thing is how you handle the consequences. You can't even handle that well, making everything worse. No matter how talented, this time I can't cover for you. Seyoung's face darkened, and since that day, there are moments when I feel so suffocated that I can hardly bear it. Outside the hospital corridor, Seyoung asked Huna if the surgery couldn't be performed right now. The little sister replied while crying, "No, it's not possible. Dad's liver levels are too low." Cancer cells have spread to the liver. It's best to be mentally prepared. Huna seemed unable to bear this immense pain. She bowed her head to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. If Dad dies, how will we live? Hearing his sister's bad omen, Seong angrily asked, "What are you saying?" Huna finally opened up about everything that had been weighing on his mind for so long. "It's not like I'm saying this out of nowhere. Have you ever stopped by the house even once in all these months? When things were at their worst? That's when I finally saw you. You don't even know what our home looks like now. Do you think just sending money solves everything?" Huna looked up and stared straight at his terrible brother, saying, "You are." Paying the price for what he had done, Seong stood still, reflecting on Huna's words. How did everything end up so messed up? On a gloomy day, Seong sat on the grass, staring into the distance. Next to him was a box containing all the music he had composed. "Dad, I brought this for you. Why do you keep looking at the music of this ungrateful son, the songs of a son who has never visited? What's so interesting that makes you so curious?" Seong's face had lost all life. "How are we supposed to go on, father? I blindly chased success, neglecting my family, and now the career I worked so hard to build has collapsed." He stood up and said loudly, "Huna is right, it's all my fault. If I had cared more about you, maybe you wouldn't have had to endure these things." Suddenly, everything around Seong seemed to go dark. He sat down on the ground like a loser, along with that director, if you gave him the song or at least stayed out of sight. He clutched his left chest in excruciating pain. Again, it was chaotic once more. Breathing is so hard, sweat dripping like rain. Seong extended his hand in front of him as if trying to hold on to something. The image of his younger sister, Hun-ah, with a radiant smile appeared in his mind. Was it all his karma? I don't know, but if there's a chance... He wanted to live differently. Unable to endure the pain, Seong collapsed on the grass, only when facing the brink of death. "I want to write a song for my father." Seong's eyes gradually closed. A moment later, he opened his eyes wide in confusion. Thought it was just a dream. Seong sat up, looking at everything around the house. This was... After being discharged from the military at 21, Seong hadn't even graduated from college, nor could he find a job. He lived in an old and cramped house, the place where the Seong family, thanks to their father's meager worker's salary, struggled to get by until he earned money from a hit song. Bills for electricity, water, and everything else are always piling up. The small amount of money Seong currently has is only 1.5 million won, which includes his discharge allowance and some wages from occasional labor jobs. This dream feels so incredibly real. Could it be that Seong is actually going back to the past? Although I don't quite understand what's going on right now, Seong's younger sister's voice is calling out for her brother. At the same time, his father and sister had returned, and he decided this would be a good opportunity to bounce back. Seong looked at the image of the father and son. The first thing he was determined to do was to make it happen. They have to get Dad and Huna out of this hell. Getting out of hell is very simple. Buy used items. Even though they have much lower specs than the devices Seong used to have, buying used is enough to get the job done. He taught himself and created a hit, contrary to the gossip that Seong is just a one-hit wonder. Most of the songs Seong released in his previous life were a huge success. The secret lies in your money-making code. In other words, it's the ability to create music that generates profit. Now Seong can only use free sound sources, so he can't use the old tracks. But it's okay, his talent is still there. Seong started composing the song with the talent he already had from a previous life. After completing Send Your Music piece, finally finished, and the sky is already bright. I wonder when someone will get in touch. At LS Entertainment, everyone is starting their work for a new day. Everyone was working when suddenly someone spoke up. Who is this jerk? Ingu noticed and went to Dun's place. Are you hiding from work to read comics again? Don't rush to explain, it's not that. An unusual email was sent and it's Seong's music. Ingu was annoyed, but why so rude? I've met many musicians with bad personalities, but this is too much. It seems like an amateur or a rookie. Forget it. People like that need to be taught a lesson. Dun also nodded in agreement, but then started listening to the music. Suddenly Dun spoke up, saying they couldn't ignore quality like this. Ingu listened and thought, judging by how he set the average price for a rookie, it seemed like he understood this industry. The quality of the song is on par with professionals, Ingu listens thoughtfully. But the software used for production is free, and it could be either a skilled anonymous expert or a professional pretending to be a novice, regardless of the reason for concealing their identity. After hearing this, Ingu asked Dun to give him his contact information. Ingu wants to buy all 3 songs at any cost. Seong was at home when he received a call from LS Entertainment. This is Ingu, the leader of Group A and R at LS Entertainment. The songwriter's song is very impressive, so first, let's arrange a meeting. But Seong replied, "There's no need, just send me the exclusive music rights contract first." Ingu was very surprised by the request. "If you want to buy it, it's best to transfer the payment to me first." Ingu was really annoyed. This attitude from Seong was already noticeable in the email. However, Ingu also agreed to Seong's request, so please refer to the email he sent for details. Before he could finish speaking, the person on the other end hung up. Then a ding from the phone. Ingu looked at it, stunned. Seong quickly sent the account number, bank and account holder. Ingu felt that something was off, and after a moment, Seong's phone received a notification that the payment was successful. After receiving some money, Seong paid off all the bills with the royalties he got, and he explained the whole story to his father and Huna. After that, Seong bought food to treat the whole family. Huna's eyes lit up with joy when she saw all the food, like fried chicken, spicy rice cakes, and even mac and cheese, everything her little sister had been dreaming of. She asked her older brother what special occasion it was today to have such a feast. "It's a happy day," Seong excitedly shared that he had found a job. "But it seems Huna and Dad aren't too happy. Don't tell me you're going to work those labor jobs again. They don't want Seong to do those dangerous tasks." Seong explained it wasn't a dangerous job, just that he suddenly discovered he had an amazing talent. Seong played the demo he had made for the two to listen to. Huna was astonished when he heard this song. "You mean he composed it himself and sold it to a major entertainment company?" Huna turned to praise his brother passionately. Suddenly one fine day, "Your brother's musical talent exploded into genius. It's truly amazing, but also really annoying." Seong, after hearing it, couldn't tell if his younger sibling was happy or sad. Seong has discovered his talent for making money, and he is very pleased with it, as he will earn even more in the future. Consider everything bad is already behind, and now is the time to enjoy happiness. Seong told his father to stop doing hard labor at the factory, and Huna just needed to focus on studying. Seong's words moved Huna deeply. Nothing can replace family. That's the motto Seong, who was brought back to life, always keeps in his heart. Seong thinks he should use the money he received to upgrade his equipment. Don't waste your money. That company will soon offer an exclusive contract. And then he couldn't refuse. Right at that moment, a call came from an unknown number. Seong thought it was a call from that entertainment company, so he answered the phone with great enthusiasm. But I wonder what he saw on the phone that made him so amazed. At the entertainment company LS, in the office of a department, an employee spoke up about the case of Seong, an anonymous musician who used free sound sources to create high-quality music, submitted a 30-second demo, and requested 3 million won. Hoo-hun, the head of the management department, spoke up, saying he's not an ordinary person. We should keep an eye on him. It's been a long time since I've had a good feeling about a deal like this. At the very least, he's someone with real skills, if not a professional in disguise. Hoo-hun called Seong and greeted him. The other end didn't answer the phone. It seems like Seong has declined the call. Hoo-hun was fuming with rage. How dare that person reject me? Because he couldn't reach him, Hoo-hun switched to sending messages, mainly to make a mutually beneficial proposal. Seong felt like work wasn't an issue, but he seemed quite down, not sure what had happened. A while later, Hoo-hun's phone received a reply, but he didn't understand the message that Seong had just sent him. Hoo-hun held up the phone for the other person to see, and he said, "Is this person a farmer?" The message Seong sent was, "Just had all the radishes that took all night to plant stolen, so feeling really down, call back later." Seong suddenly put down the headphones. On the screen, there's a game, and someone has taken all the radishes you planted and worked on all night. Hoo-hun is listing some information they received from Seong, whose stage name is HS. Hoo-hun feels that Seong doesn't know who they are or why they didn't answer their call. However, Hoo-hun decided to call one more time to see what happens. Seong also picked up the phone and asked who it was. Hoo-hun sent his regrets about the loss of your property. Hoo-hun tried to respond as politely as possible but was annoyed by Seong's reply. Hoo-hun expressed his condolences, but he said he was fine now. Seong said, "I went fishing on the island to unwind, but what's the matter?" The Hoo-hun side replied, "I would like to propose that you sign an exclusive contract. Instead of discussing over the phone like this, I prefer to meet in person for a more detailed conversation. I wonder when you'll be back in Seoul." Seong casually replied, "I am in Seoul right now." Hoo-hun does not understand what you mean. How can you fish on Seon? Seong suggested, "I don't want to waste time, so let's rearrange the conditions and meet again tomorrow. Let's meet at the cafe at 5 p.m. today." The employee also overheard the conversation between the two. Hoo-hun thought, a weirdo, living in seclusion, growing vegetables and fishing by the Han River. probably a long-haired guy with a scruffy beard. Hoo-hun was waiting at the coffee shop when someone came over and asked, "Excuse me, are you LS?" Hoo-hun was surprised by the appearance he had imagined. Seyoung's appearance was quite different from Hoo-hun's imagination, so he was surprised and a bit confused when facing Seyoung. Hoo-hun started the conversation, as mentioned earlier, "I came here to propose an exclusive contract with LS Entertainment. Tell him to review it, and if there's anything he's not satisfied with, let him know." Seyoung reviewed the contract very thoroughly. Hoo-hun felt that Seyoung was younger than he had imagined. Just a little flattery would do. Seyoung looked over the contract and said, "Although it's better than the industry standard. But there are still many disadvantages." Hoo-hun was very surprised. "Unless there's a natural disaster, there's no way to cancel the contract, and you wouldn't cancel it anyway, right?" Hoo-hun quickly explained. Seyoung continued, "In that case, the ownership period of the work will be adjusted after the agreement, and if no agreement is reached, they will exploit the forensic team to force me to agree. The contract term is too long, the profit-sharing ratio is also unreasonable, overall it's lacking sincerity. Seyoung does not agree with the terms in the contract, but for the company, this is the best condition for a rookie already." But Seyoung did not accept it. "I want to be treated according to my abilities, not based on experience." Sung turned away but didn't forget to give the company a chance. "Prepare the contract again by tomorrow." Hoo-hun felt very angry but could only agree to the request. The next day, Hoo-hun met with Seyoung again to discuss the contract, but his attitude was different from the day before. Seyoung carefully reviewed the revised contract. Seyoung spoke up, "You fixed the points I mentioned, but there's still a lack of sincerity here." Hoo-hun listened, his face stiffening. Seyoung made it clear, "A big management company like LS has no reason to hold on to a rookie musician like me, and likewise, I don't necessarily have to choose LS, let's just say we've tried but couldn't work together." Seyoung was about to get up and leave, but Hoo-hun grabbed his hand. Hoo-hun tried to hold Seyoung back, saying, "Just state your conditions." Seyoung spoke up. Hoo-hun held his breath, waiting. Seyoung turned back with a beaming face and asked, "Is that okay?" Seyoung asked for 5 special conditions prepared specifically for himself. Hoo-hun's expression was very serious while checking the conditions. Seyoung asked if there was a problem. Hoo-hun feels that this guy is really a professional, demanding a bit much, but it's all things that can be met. Hoo-hun asked again, "Are you sure about clause number 4? No need to add more?" Seyoung took a sip of water and replied, "Anyway, in a year my value will increase significantly, and then we will renegotiate." Hoo-hun agrees with your request, and the two people agreed to sign a partnership contract with each other for the next year. The next day marked Seyoung's first day at LS Entertainment's headquarters. Under the special provision, Seyoung was provided with a private recording studio. Today, he came to receive his staff ID and business cards. Seyoung toured the company, and the office was very nice and clean, and there's also a very large rooftop. Hoo-hun introduced the entire company to Seyoung, and their most important facility is the cafeteria. But Sung didn't care. He just wanted to see the recording studio rather than the cafeteria. Hoo-hun could only be frustrated inside. Hoo-hun leads his Seyoung, just entered the recording studio and heard yelling. Hoo-hun didn't know there was someone recording inside. Hoo-hun introduced the company's new musician Se-eung, whom he hadn't seen in a while, and almost didn't recognize the person sitting there. Sung remembered Chu Chiti as a capable and reputable person, though they were not very close in their previous lives. The two people shook hands and greeted each other warmly. Then Sung looked at the person inside the studio. "It seems like you met her a moment ago." While Seyoung was touring the company, its scale was comparable to the entertainment company he had previously worked for. A girl walked up behind Seyoung and loudly asked the staff or intern. Seyoung turned his head and replied coldly, "Employee." The red-haired girl spoke up. "What looks so young like that? I thought it was an intern. Turns out it's an employee. Speak more carefully. Don't you know who I am?" she arrogantly said. This girl is someone Seyoung met in a past life. He didn't expect her to be here. Seyoung casually replied, "I know." The girl, irritated, said, "You know, but you didn't even say hello?" Seyoung found this girl very annoying. She was loud and talked to others, so he decided to ignore her and not pay any attention. Seyoung just replied, "I'm busy, no time for this." The red-haired girl was furious. Seyoung walked away and she screamed even louder. The girl's name is Chini, 23 years old, a former member of an idol group. Although her band broke up after just 1 year, she went on to become a highly successful solo artist. However, her fame did not last long. Seyoung asked to watch Chini record, and Chite naturally agreed. Chini was very worried when that guy would stand there listening to her recording, and then started recording immediately. Chite asked Chini to do it again. Cheat kept scolding the singer, while Sung and Hoo-hun stood behind observing everything. Seong said it seemed Chite was a bit strict when producing music, and Hoo-hun mentioned that normally he's not that severe. Chini's last album was also produced by him, but the results weren't great. If this time's outcome isn't favorable, her career will be severely impacted, which is why Chite is so nervous. Seong felt that this wouldn't work. The song must suit the singer, not force the singer to conform to the song. Seong suddenly spoke up, "Let me handle it, boss. I will produce music for Chini." Chite was very surprised and said, "Give Seo Chini's single production task to Seong." Hoo-hun immediately replied, "Yes, don't you feel tired of having to take care of her album? What if Seong suits her better? Why not try adjusting things a bit?" Of course, there's no pressure. It was Seong who volunteered. Chite hesitated for a moment. "Is it feasible?" Hoo-hun gave an awkward smile and said, "The release date might be pushed back a little, but it's not impossible." Chite Vuvo thought, "But after all, he is the new leader, so it's necessary to challenge him a bit. And who knows, it might be an opportunity for her. If successful, he could catch the attention of the higher-ups." Seeing Chite lost in thought and saying nothing, Hoo-hun asked with no other options if he would report this. Chite was taken aback by his bluntness and replied, "Yes." Suddenly the door opened. As Chini walked into the room, Chite immediately informed her, "You've heard, right? The producer for your album this time will be changed. Do you remember the guy who recorded with me yesterday? Even though he's a new musician, he's very talented, so don't worry." After hearing it, Chini was left speechless, completely shocked and surprised. She shouted, "No way, how could it be him?" Chite, seeing her reaction, asked in confusion, "Is there something between you two?" Chini sighed and said, "There's nothing, so I'll go ahead," and she walked straight out of the room, leaving Chite and Hoo-hun puzzled. Where is the washed-up singer Chini from the old days? That's the kind of headline and phrase often seen in articles associated with her recently. The person who had been in the entertainment industry for 9 years and was once a famous singer has seen her fame plummet over the past 3 years. She once scolded her manager, asking why he made her work with someone like that for her debut album. Making her collaborate with a new musician was like saying they no longer had any expectations of her. If this album fails, then consider the singing career over, and the awards she earned will fade into oblivion. It's hard to stand on stage performing for the audience. Moreover, her contract will end. Hoo-hun and Seong texted each other. Hoo-hun sent a long message to Seong saying that Chite agreed, but does it really have to be Chini? He's both the boss and a senior. I'm just advising you, think it over carefully. Seong spent a lot of time sitting at home analyzing and finding a new direction for Chini's album this time. He thought Chini's debut songs weren't bad, but the recent songs have poor orchestration, and the way they push her to hit those high-pitched notes makes listeners uncomfortable. Chini's voice is the thickest and strongest in the lower mid-range. How to showcase the unique timbre of Chini. Then he sat down at the piano and tried playing a few melodies. At the LS Entertainment Company, department head Kim Hoo-hun arrives at the office quite early and is checking messages and the mailbox on the stationary computer. When he read the text message, he was extremely shocked, his eyes wide and his mouth open, only able to exclaim, "Who is this person?" I just handed over the project, and in just 24 hours it was completed. Turns out Seong finished the demo of the song for Chini and sent it to Hoo-hun's inbox. Seong also reminded to schedule a recording session for her. Assistant Hye and some other managers in the company were quite surprised after reviewing this demo. Assistant Hye even said, "This layout is amazing." Some people, a bit mean, said it's a pity, it should have been given to another singer, but others trust Chini's talent, saying it actually suits Chini quite well. Suddenly, Chini came to the company and walked into the room. Right away, Hoo-hun told her that the song this time is really good, so stay tuned. Chini just nodded and replied, "Yes," but inside she was very worried, thinking badly of Seong, that it had only been 1 day. Was he planning to recycle someone else's song? Then she came to listen to the song's melody. She kept sitting there, focused on listening over and over, completely unaware that Seong was also walking in. Dunn and an assistant in the company were quite surprised to see Chini like that. She keeps listening to this new song over and over again. They were even more surprised, and even more than that. The person who had never shown any interest in listening to music by famous musicians before, Lai is swaying to the music. Seong saw her like that and was quite happy. Then Hoo-hun asked Chini, "What do you think, isn't it good?" Chini responded in a very confusing way, "Strange." Hoo-hun jumped up strangely enough. Chini took off her headphones and replied, "Why is it so good?" Seong went to Chini and told her, "Miss Chini, we're going to have a test. Sing the final part using scat, a vocal technique that uses nonsensical syllables to create an improvised melody." Chini asked him in confusion, You want me to sing the song I just performed? Sung coldly said, I need to check if she can sing it. In fact, Sung had planned this carefully. The song seemed tailor-made for her, with the intention to discard it if she couldn't perform it, so I need to be sure. Dunn and his assistant stood there gulping nervously, worried that Chini might get angry. But after thinking for a moment, Chini said, Can I hear it one more time? Hoo-hun was extremely shocked and surprised when he heard that. 1,000 questions flooded his mind, like why did Chini accept such a request? It seemed like she really liked it. In fact, during the 4 minutes and 24 seconds, the song played repeatedly 7 times. Chini listened quietly and practiced without anyone urging or scolding her. They quietly watched her. Chini listened carefully to each melody, each note, and realized that the melody of this song focuses on the mid-low range. It doesn't need high-pitched notes or exaggerated emotional expression. Simplicity is the key to its charm, making it easy for listeners to be captivated. That voice. Why do you keep listening over and over? She took off her headphones and said, Now I'll sing, but Seong told her, No need. I don't think there's any need to listen anymore. We will meet again on the recording day. Chini was quite surprised to hear that, then Seong just coldly walked out of the company room. Scene change. Hoo-hun has to talk to director Nami. The director asks, I heard you assigned Chini's single production to a new composer. Was it Chite who requested that? Hoo-hun was extremely nervous as he replied, No, it was Seong who suggested it. I am still very unsure and confused. Why does the director want to meet me today? The director asked, a bit irritated. Do you know that the timing of Chini's single release isn't very favorable, right? Hoo-hun replied. Yes, I know, director Nami continued. If this album doesn't break even, our contract with Chini will end. I really don't like reckless people, so I want Chite and Seong to work together on this project. The director's face showed a strong and decisive demeanor. He clearly stated that it would be much better if the two of them did it. Hoo-hun just lowered his head, dejectedly saying, I will talk to them about this. The next day, he asked Seong to meet and talk, but before anything else, Seong responded directly and very seriously, I don't agree. He explained to Hoo-hun that he would choose the instrument, write the sheet music, and play the music himself, without wanting anyone else to interfere. Hoo-hun also tried to tell Seong that Chini's career depends on this album. He's just a rookie musician. This is an order from the higher-ups due to concerns about that. Seong looked directly into manager Kim's eyes and asked, Don't you trust me? After hearing this question, Hoo-hun was completely shocked, speechless, unable to say a word. He hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Then Seong angrily stood up, ready to leave, but Hoo-hun grabbed his hand. Seong firmly told Hoo-hun to wait until he finished recording, mixing, and finalizing everything. After all, changing the producer had already pushed the release date back, so a bit more delay wouldn't hurt. If after listening to the final version, director Nami still doesn't like it, then we will discuss the possibility of collaboration. Scene shifts to the recording day. Chini seems to have a sore throat, Seong notices and asks her how her voice is today. Chini just replied, It's okay. Seong heard that and said, Let's start then. He also advised her that, I think you should relax your throat a bit more. Chini immediately followed and asked, Like this? Seong said, That's right. Good, Chini thought to herself, looking at him in the studio. His attitude was completely different from the first impression. Very professional and calm. Time kept passing, and at some point, she sang until her throat went dry and suddenly realized, What calm are we talking about? We've been recording non-stop for 5 hours straight. Luckily, Seong finally allowed her to take a break, and he reminded her, But keep your voice. At this moment, Chini could only gasp for air, completely exhausted. She lay sprawled on the sofa and could only exclaim, So tired. She immediately snapped herself back. No, not tired at all. From the moment I first heard it, I knew this song was meant for me. The song that only I can sing might just become a huge success this time. Hoo-hun suddenly arrived at the studio and was amazed by the sight before him, a pile of food containers laid out on the table. He asked, What's going on? Se-hung stayed up all night in the studio, while Se-young, engrossed in making music, only replied, As you can see. Then a faint voice was heard. It turned out to be Chini saying, Quiet down, Manager Kim. Don't you know the basic etiquette in the studio? Hoo-hun was even more surprised when he saw Chini's appearance. He gaped and asked, Chini, are you sleeping here too? Then Se-young told her, Chini, wake up. We still need to record. Chini wearily replied, But it's only been 20 minutes. Hoo-hun saw them working so productively and turned to tell Se-young to take it easy, saying the schedule wasn't so tight that they needed to stay up all night and to just rest for now. In fact, Hoo-hun felt both happy and excited as he watched them work and thought to himself, But Chini, who usually gets grumpy when having to work late into the night, obediently listened to him. Maybe it's best to leave them alone. Hoo-hun was quite pleased to see them working so well together. The release date of Chini's single has arrived, but the headlines on newspapers and social media are only about Blue's comeback. Blue's pre-orders for the 7th mini-album have surpassed 2 million copies, aiming for sky-high records. There's also the big news about Gong Haidu, including the release of Haidu's single in response to fan support. Plus, there's the new rising star Chin Sao, whose debut video has gone viral and made it to the top charts. It turns out the famous boy band B-Lu belongs to the entertainment company ON, and the rookie group 9 Stars from MK Entertainment debuted at the same time, followed by the comeback of the singer representing LK Entertainment. This is a fierce and intense competition. The news and prominent articles currently are just about these people. Chini was deeply saddened because her article had still not been found. She was sitting there, feeling sad and lost when someone came to inform her that Chini's song would be released in 1 minute. However, what Chini did not expect was that Auntie is also a fan. People often say that. It was the aunties of Chini who streamed her music, making the song unexpectedly enter the charts. After performing the title song Go Chaot on a music show called Music Core and other programs, the song entered the top 50 on domestic online music charts, which was a happy result for the company. Hoo-hun invited Seung to lunch at the company cafeteria. Hoo-hun said, "Starting like this is already good. Don't be greedy, and don't put pressure on yourself." "The company is also very pleased with this result," Seung simply replied. "I know. I don't need to put pressure on myself." Hearing that, Hoo-hun was dumbfounded, unable to understand. Seung said bluntly, "I already told you the rest is up to the company. If this song stops here, then that's their limit." Hoo-hun said with a hint of sadness, "I just wanted to comfort you, but you're really cold." Seung quickly explained, "Oh, it's not because of work. I'm just dealing with some trouble. My attempts to sell radishes have all failed. I've lost a lot of money." Then the blonde assistant rushed over, calling out loudly, "Manager, are you here?" Hoo-hun saw her in such a rush and asked in surprise, "What's all the fuss about?" She gasped for breath and said, "Do you know the advertising company Dai? They just called. As an advertising job, they want to use the song Go Together by Chini." Hoo-hun was completely shocked and bewildered, as this song had never made it to the charts due to not being promoted on music shows. How could it possibly be chosen for an ad? The assistant urged Hoo-hun, saying it was urgent and they needed a quick response. Hoo-hun immediately stood up, stopped eating, put on his jacket, and said, "The contract has arrived. Let's go review it right away." Although in a hurry, before leaving, he told Seung, "Keep eating." Seung was utterly bewildered, frozen in confusion, not understanding what was happening. He thought to himself that if it was an ad for Day Company, the song would definitely benefit a lot. A good song will eventually shine. I am the kind of person who always believes in that. Anyway, Chini's song will become famous one day. We should congratulate her after all. It has nothing to do with me. One day, Chini suddenly handed Seung a car key and said, "I just want to comfortably sing this song. After all, we'll often see each other outside later on." Seung's face was blank. Plus, Hoo-hun was already tearing his hair out. What else could be happening now? The advertising campaign of the company Dai has created a strong wave, with hundreds of comments under the ad video like, "After watching this, I want to travel with my mom so much." Additionally, there are also ads asking about the song Walking Together by Chini. MV Go Chaot reached 1.9 million views in just 2 weeks after posting. A slew of headlines screamed, "Diva is back, Seo Chini." The song Together Moving On climbed the charts, and every track on the album made it to the charts. Seeing that, Hoo-hun couldn't help but shout in joy, "All right." You kept shaking Seung and said, "I thought just breaking even would be lucky enough, but who would have thought it would be such a huge success?" Seung proudly replied, "Of course, whose song would it be if not mine?" Then, Hoo-hun reached into his pocket to grab his phone, nervously saying, "Oh right, I was planning to treat everyone tonight, but I'll have to postpone." Hearing the ringtone, Seung asked, "Who's calling?" He immediately held up his phone and answered, "The director is calling. Go to my room, you come with me." Seeing that, Seung was startled. A moment later, in the director's office, Seung asked, "May I ask the reason?" Then, he glanced at the director's expression. He just sat calmly drinking tea. Meanwhile, Hoo-hun's inner self seemed to want to scream out, "Silence is golden, Min-hun Seung." Suddenly, director Nami grinned with satisfaction and said that Seo Chini's latest album had achieved unexpected success. It's all thanks to this musician that Seo Chini was able to renew the contract. Upon hearing this, Seung humbly replied, "I was just lucky." Then he continued, I thought you had special feelings for Chini when you agreed to produce her album, but you seem calmer than I expected. You replied, I just wanted to try playing with such a wonderful instrument. That can be considered a special kind of affection. Seeing that, Namai thought to himself, sounds interesting. Then he asked, Kim Hoo-hoon has arranged the recording studio for you, right? I will arrange a private recording studio for you in the company, and this too, he said as he handed over a Mercedes car key. Then the director continued, Hope this will make you feel more comfortable. After all, we will be seeing each other outside quite often in the future. At this moment, Hoo-hoon sat on one side thinking, a private recording studio in the company, a private car, was his intention to keep Min Seong under control? He began analyzing in his head. Rejecting wasn't impossible, but you must be careful, Min Seong. However, contrary to his worries, he just gave a slight smile. Then he reached out to take the car key from the director and said, Thank you. There's no other way. I can't refuse your generous offer. Director Namai looked at him and said, Good. I have high expectations for you. Huna was stunned, eyes wide open, mouth agape, staring at his brother's murk. She froze for a moment, then screamed, Did you buy a car? At this moment, Seong had already opened the door, and inside the car, the interior was all brand new. Then, he urged his father and younger sister, asking why they were still standing there and to get in the car. While his father hadn't even loaded yet, Huna was already looking inside the car, amazed and asking, Where did you get this from? He replied that the company gave it to him as a reward for the project's success. However, your dad worriedly said, After all, the company won't just give away a fancy car without a reason, so don't be too quick to agree. Seeing that, Seong helped him into the car and reassured him, Don't worry, Dad, just get in the car. A moment later in the car, he played a song by Chini that I had composed. Huna was listening and expressing admiration. At first, she was skeptical when he said he was a musician, but this song actually sounds really good. She cheerfully continued, Among Seo Chini's songs, my favorite is Let's Move On Together. The melody is so touching, very relaxing, and perfect for listening to while driving like this. I need to add this to my playlist. Hearing that, Seong thought for a moment, surprised that you were so interested in music. Then he told Huna not to brag all over the place. She immediately asked in surprise, Why is that? I also want to show off my brother. But he just coldly replied, Don't. People say, power and fame easily make people lose themselves. I don't want to become someone like that. At this moment, their father simply listened to the music in a daze and looked out the window, while Huna continued to wonder what he meant, whether the company had said something to him. He didn't reply right away and pondered. Some people, even when listening to the same piece of music, don't share their feelings or thoughts. They just stare blankly out the window with empty eyes. You remember the past and then think, to me, power and fame are just means. My real goal, it turns out Seong had set his sights on continuing to pursue music, but family was the top priority. Scene change, at LS Entertainment Company. Seong carried the box around, mumbling, Where's the recording studio the director arranged for me? This damn company is too big. Suddenly, a voice came from the room. Just trust and wait for me. As long as I pass this month's final test, everything will be fine. Hearing that, he thought to himself, End of month test, intern, huh. Then, he read the gym registration list posted on the door and exclaimed, Chung Arin? Hearing someone call her name, she was immediately surprised. Then immediately turned back to question Seong. Who are you? How do you know my name? Seeing this, he quickly replied, Oh, I'm just a staff member. You continued speaking, but hey, let me ask for directions. Before you could finish your sentence, Arin had already put her phone away and responded, Yes, where would you like to go? Seong immediately replied, I want to go to the musician's room. As soon as he finished speaking, she quickly gave directions to Seong. The musician's room is on the first floor. Take the main elevator. However, Seong didn't leave right away but lingered for a moment. At that moment, Arin was still diligently practicing her voice. Every note of the song came out so clear. Even Seong was captivated by her voice. He pondered for a moment. Then he bent down next to Arin's bag. And leave a business card of yours. A moment later, in the musician's room, Hoo-hoon held the list of artists from LS Entertainment and cheerfully said, Go ahead, choose one. Seeing this, Seong immediately wondered, What is this? He replied, It's time to start the next project. After helping Seo Chini revive and catch the director's eye, he'll definitely agree to all my demands. Now choose. Seong paused in thought for a moment. Then I remembered the girl I had just met earlier. Then, you asked Hoo-hoon, the manager, if he knew when the results of the intern's end-of-month evaluation would be available. He was surprised and asked back, End-of-month evaluation? We just had the evaluation today. The results should be available tonight. Hoo-hun curiously asked him, then asked again like that. Seong said, "Can we decide on the next project tomorrow?" On this side, Arin was packing her things while recalling what people around her had said. "Arin, what if you're wasting your youth on a vague talent? I don't know if I should give you hope or not. I also want to tell you that you will definitely succeed, keep persevering or whatever. But I'm afraid those are just meaningless words of comfort. Everything has already been decided. You can move your stuff out of the company this week." In their locker room, she stood in front of the mirror and asked herself, 6 years as a trainee, Chung Arin, what has she been doing for the past 6 years? Suddenly, she noticed something. It turned out to be the business card that Seong had left earlier. Arin, with tears in her eyes, hoped, "H.S. How? I don't know why I thought of it. Maybe just because I wanted it so badly." Then she recalled their earlier encounter and thought, maybe this is destiny. A moment later, the composer's door opened. Seong sat inside and said, "Oh, precise positioning. So Arin has decided to follow her reason and come to him for help." Seeing this, Seong stood up, gave a sly smile, and slowly said, "I will help you debut in a different way." Then, he continued, "Come on, say it after me. I am just an instrument." Seeing that, Arin also followed his lead. Seong asked if there was a musical instrument that could speak. She hesitated for a moment, then stammered, "No." You kept asking, "So do musical instruments have personalities?" Arin kept repeating the answer, "No." Then, Seong hesitantly said, "Musical instrument only make sounds at the player's will." Suddenly, Arin woke up. She wondered, "Is it over?" Seeing that, he replied, "What? Do you want more torment?" As soon as Seong finished, she firmly said, "No." Then he continued, "Just one sentence is enough to check if she's a musical instrument without personality. Just one sentence is enough for me to compose a song that fits her voice." "That's true professionalism," said Arin hesitantly, "but please give me one more chance." Even in her desperation, she still came to me, but it wasn't like she knew nothing about me. Previously, while working, Arin accidentally overheard colleagues gossiping, saying that Chini almost had her contract terminated after this album, but a new musician saved her. Who was it? They kept talking. HS? I only know his pen name. I heard he almost never sleeps, like a dolphin, only sleeps 5 minutes a day and then goes on composing music non-stop. Surely you must be exceptionally talented to be favored by the director and the board of directors like that. Returning to reality, Seong broke the silence. "I'll let you know when the draft is ready. You can go now." However, Arin hesitated and said, "Composer, I really hope for your help. You're speechless already and we haven't even started. Take care of yourself." Arin smiled and replied yes. Transitioning to the meeting at LS Entertainment, Hoo-hun reported that the Japanese audience's reaction to Chini was better than expected. Although it has just entered the Oricon chart, if we conduct deep promotions and systematically advertise the song in the Japanese market, we can plan a solo performance this winter. Director Choi also agreed, "That's right. If she performs well in Japan, we might make it into the top rankings of Oricon by the end of the year." Namai nodded and said, "Let's just do it, Manager Kim." Hoo-hun responded, "Yes, thank you, Director." In his mind, he thought happily, "Awesome." Director Bak spoke up, and it seemed like his mood improved significantly after resolving Chini's issue. "Chini, I knew you would succeed because you were once very famous, but I didn't expect you to succeed so quickly. It's really lucky." Hearing that, Director Choi had to whisper, "Bak Inte only speaks empty words." Actually, Director Choi and Director Bak, they each took charge of managing Group 1 and Group 2, constantly competing with each other. Even after becoming members of the board, they continued their rivalry by dividing the management department. At that moment, Nami suddenly spoke up, saying he had always believed Chini would succeed. "It seems his thoughts differ from mine, Director Bak." He continued, "I believe Chini is a completely failed product in terms of branding. I thought she would never be able to regain public attention and affection. But I was wrong. Min-hun Seong did very well saying this." Hoo-hun nodded in agreement. Then he asked him, "Has Hoo-hun decided which singer will join Seong's next project?" Seeing that, he hesitated and replied, "Well, I'm still thinking about it." Suddenly, Director Nami's phone rang. It turned out to be a call from Seong. He looked at the screen and told everyone, "That guy is really something." Hearing that, everyone was puzzled. The musician? Unbelievable. A lowly musician dared to call the director directly. He picked up the phone, and on the other end, Seong said, "This is Min-hun Seong, the person we met last time. I'll get straight to the point. There was a trainee named Chung Arin. She had been training at LS Entertainment for a long time and was recently fired. I want to try working with her on the next project." Hearing this, The leadership immediately discussed it, sure that he knew it wouldn't be easy to get approval for producing a debut song for a trainee who had been fired, so he called the director himself. Then he replied, "All the employees of LS Entertainment are competent. There must be a reason why that girl was fired." Seong replied, "Anyone can make sounds from a violin." At this, Cheon Nami, confused, asked again, "What do you mean?" He immediately said, "Just pulling the bow on the strings will produce sound, but making sound and playing music are two completely different things. No matter how amazing an instrument is, if it's in the hands of a poor player, it's just a noise-making object. Didn't I already prove that to Seo Chini?" He confidently continued, "If given to me, I believe she will be able to shine." After listening, Director Cheon immediately told Hoo-hun that he wanted to produce a single for a trainee who had been fired in the next project. As soon as he finished speaking, Hoo-hun instantly panicked and exclaimed, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, Director. Let me talk to him." However, the director said, "I don't think he'll change his mind. There are two ways to manage a talented but stubborn person. One is to give them a chance to prove themselves and win them over. The other is to remove them entirely if they cannot demonstrate their abilities." He continued, "If keeping it around is uncomfortable and getting rid of it feels like a waste, then the best thing is to make it disappear from sight, right?" Arin was overjoyed and happy as she held the contract in her hands, her eyes sparkling brightly. While she was feeling happy, dreaming like she was on cloud nine, on the other side, Hoo-hun was quite frustrated, sighing, saying, "It wasn't easy to get his signature." Seong said, "From the beginning, you should have offered better terms." The issue of the profit-sharing ratio in the contract with the entertainment company LS, I told you already. Hoo-hun replied, "Yes, it's all my fault." Arin was immersed, absorbed, and captivated by the new song written just for her, and she couldn't help but exclaim, "This is amazing." Hoo-hun also told Arin, happy for her, but not to expect too much from her, or she will be disappointed. Arin was focused on listening to music and didn't hear anything. Seong told her, "Come on, sing the chorus," Arin replied. "So soon, give me more time to practice," Seong asked again. "You've been practicing for 6 years and still need more time?" Hoo-hun saw them working so productively, he sighed in frustration, feeling down because he was really worried about Seong. And so, the challenging recording process began. Arin sang just a short part, but had to redo it dozens of times. Every time she finished a sentence, Seong felt it wasn't good enough, lacking emotion, so they tried again. Then the next time, Seong spoke again, his pronunciation unclear once more. Then it went off again from the beginning, singing it again. She was exhausted from singing the same song over and over. She angrily stormed out of the studio and said, "Can I hear the demo? I can't feel anything at all." Seong heard that and could only sigh. Then, when Seong sang the song, Arin was speechless, completely stunned. Boy Seong sings very well and with great emotion. Arin was very curious about why he hadn't debuted. Even though I had to stay up all night and work as hard as ever, the results were still perfect. Although it hasn't gone through advanced processing yet, this mix is already good enough to serve as a demo. Unlike Chini, Arin is a new face, so the company needs to promote her more aggressively, but something unexpected happened. In a conversation with colleagues, Seong was very surprised about the 10-year anniversary album of KOK. The colleague said, "Yes, maybe because of KOK, the marketing department isn't focusing on Arin's debut, they're putting all their efforts into the 10-year anniversary comeback of our company's top group." Hoo-hun was extremely shocked and worried because Arin's debut schedule coincided with KOK's comeback. He thought, the person behind this must be the director Buk Byeoi Thoitha is secretly playing tricks to suppress Director Choi. The leading boy group from entertainment company LS KOK, managed by Team 1 and overseen by director Bak, the 10th anniversary is approaching, but the group has been focusing on promoting in Japan for a long time, leaving domestic fans extremely upset, starving the fans of a male idol group of information like that. It turns out that it's because they want to suppress us. Sorry, manager, our marketing department can't do anything more. Hoo-hun thought, there might be a way, because Arin's debut schedule coincides with KOK's comeback schedule. Seong said, "We can't delay KOK's comeback just to focus on promoting her. If the song is good, it will naturally become popular. If not, then so be it." He asked, "Seong, aren't you worried?" You smiled and said, "Do I look worried? I actually find it interesting." The 10th anniversary album that KOK is about to release is expected to top all the charts, from 1st to 5th place, and become the best album of the year, possibly even the best album of all time. In my previous life, I missed the chance to witness that because I hadn't debuted yet, but this time, I unexpectedly got to see such a showdown. Hoo-hun hit Seong on the neck, still laughing, huh? Arin is standing on the edge of a cliff, How can you say that? You replied. I mean, it's not that I find it interesting. He continued, forget it. Just do your job well. No matter the outcome, it's the company's responsibility, not yours. Seong gave a sly smile. Then calmly replied, of course. Suddenly a voice called from behind, Manager Kim. He was surprised Director Baek, Hoo-hun bowed and said hello. Hello, who is this next to you? He asked. This is Seong, he replied. He's the director, Bak and Tai. Say hello. He glanced over and you quickly bowed. He silently thought, young and handsome, an intern? Suddenly Hoo-hun's phone rang. He said, sorry, director, I have an appointment outside, so I'll see you later. Then he put his hand on Seong's shoulder and whispered, you stay in the recording studio. Understand what I mean? You respond to him. Hoo-hun, angry, glared at him. Answer properly, he thought. They seem pretty close. Isn't he an intern, Hyun-seong? Then he remembered what Namai said. I had underestimated you. There are two ways to control a talented but stubborn person. Then, they quickly figured out who you were, and it turned out you were HS. I was curious about you after hearing the director's praise, then spoke up to break the quiet atmosphere. You're the musician in charge of Chini's album, right? I've heard a lot about your success, and I have high hopes for your future achievements. I'd like to invite you to grab a drink sometime. While he was busy talking, Seong had quickly left, leaving him stunned, nowhere to be found. You leisurely hummed the lyrics. The boss's name, Bak, was so furious he gritted his teeth and said, I'll show you. Meanwhile, Kim CP and another director were sitting and talking. He asked, what's going on that you called me up here, director? He said, what's the matter? I've helped Kim CP a lot, so I want to give you an important piece of information. He laughed and spoke, important information. Then he said, KOK will soon return to Korea. He was surprised, but isn't KOK busy with his solo concert tour in Japan? In his mind, he thought, this old fox is definitely plotting something. In this situation, the only thing he could offer me was, then he asked, you mean you want me to arrange for KOK to perform a comeback on music show? He pretended to smile with great joy. Of course, just let me know their schedule once it's arranged. In my mind, I thought, this is the chance for me to make a name for myself by producing a spectacular stage for a famous idol group. How could I refuse? He said, Kim CP really understands things. However, he then stated his true intention, which left him confused, and the director, it seems, was overwhelmed by it. He said, in fact, KOK's schedule has been pushed to next week. He mentioned that changing the schedule for next week is very difficult. We have already prepared the stage and everything. Moreover, Geo Sup Beo has also been arranged to perform in the last time slot. Jo Seob Eo is an idol group from On Entertainment, a competitor of LS Entertainment. I don't want to create enmity with another big company. The director continued, Kim CP, you know Gi Sup Beo can't compare to KOK, right? He replied, clearly confused. That's true, but, he said, listen to me, I've already prepared a reason for you. Next week, we have a rookie singer from our company debuting, right? He replied, are you talking about Arin? He said, that's right, it's that girl. Leave her debut performance for last. Tell the entertainment company ON that since KOK has returned from Japan with an album produced by top producers, they deserve to perform in the final position. As for Arin's debut, try to arrange it as minimally as possible, and remember to inform the ON entertainment side as well. By doing so, Kim CP will gain recognition for successfully orchestrating KOK's comeback, as he mentioned while putting the billion-dollar watch on his wrist. Kim CP stared at it, he confirmed again, both inside and outside the company. He heard the plot and feeling that he would also benefit, smiled and replied, got it. We owe each other. At that moment, Hoo-hun was on the phone. The person on the other end asked, what time will you be back at the office, boss? He replied, soon. Why, what's up? The other person said, Arin's debut had been moved to the front. He was shocked and asked, what? That person said, but there's something off. A few minutes ago, Vito Tiso announced that the 10-year anniversary mini-album of KOK has been released. And it was announced that the album will be released next week. I found out that previously, the last spot belonged to Geo Sup Beo from On Company. Geo Sup Beo is also a famous band. There's no reason they would give up their spot to KOK. Moreover, it's quite suspicious that Arin's debut was moved to the front. I think Director Bak is involved in this. Hoo-hun searched online, thinking that not only was the sudden and intense resentment at the same time as Arin unexpected, but KOK was also given the last performance slot. Such underhanded behavior towards colleagues doesn't benefit Director Bak at all. Seong also wondered why he did that. At that moment, Hoo-hun said, Seong, Do you remember the day we met Director Bach in the elevator? Did anything happen? You replied, that day he asked me to go grab a drink. I pretended not to hear and walked away, thinking in my head that he was trying to drag me into something. It seems like something has happened, Hu-hun said, covering his face. Seong. Clear your schedule for tomorrow. Director Bach played tricks with Arin's debut. I won't sit idly by and watch things unfold like this anymore. Director Choi beamed and extended his hand toward you. Oh, you are Min-hun Seong. Nice to meet you. He quickly shook his hand and politely bowed, saying, Nice to meet you. Hu-hun, standing next to him, spoke up. Sorry to bother you during a busy time, Director Choi. I have a favor to ask of you. He asked again, confused, his face showing a bit of awkwardness, saying, Yes, actually. A moment later, his voice became somewhat agitated. Just because of a rookie musician's attitude, he resorted to playing dirty with his colleagues like that. Hu-hun on the opposite side apologized. Sorry, Director. We should have handled this ourselves. Now we've troubled you. Director Cho said, It seems like we need help from the higher-ups. Hearing that, he hesitantly replied, But even the director can't solve this problem. He gave a puzzling smile and continued, No. As the superior of the director, not long after, the car of the two people stopped in front of the house of the person whom Director Choi referred to as the superior of the director. If I had to compare, this person is like the founding father of the entertainment industry. He has been in the entertainment industry since the early days of color television in Korea, a senior to even director Cheon-nami. As soon as he stepped inside, Director Choi began to speak, saying he was the one who had helped the entertainment company LS a lot in its early days. Hu-hun, hearing this, was astonished and exclaimed in disbelief. It seemed Director Choi knew what he was about to ask and immediately replied, It was me. As soon as he finished speaking, the other person smiled and greeted, Hello, Mr. Choi Gun-sik, an elderly man with a very kind face. Director Choi then introduced him. This is Mr. Lee Dusok, a former board member. They saw him and respectfully bowed to greet him. Long time no see. How are you? The old man with a straight posture said. Drop those pleasantries. Gyun-sik even brought his whole group of kids here, surely not just to greet me. Go inside. After entering, the three of them sat quietly across from the old man. After hearing their presentation, his stern voice rang out steadily. You're not children anymore, so why bring family matters here? He took another sip of tea and firmly declined. No, Director Choi, he said. How many years have you been retired? Sir. His voice grew hesitant when he received the sharp gaze from the old man. He then glanced at the young man calmly sitting next to Director Choi and asked in confusion, He doesn't seem very worried, does he? When he heard the old man mention him, he replied, I always believe in the saying, middle path leads to success. If the song is good, even if it coincides with KOK's album release schedule, it will still be successful. We can't stop KOK from preparing for a comeback album. Hearing him speak like that, the old man looked at him with an interested expression and said, Oh, he's sharp-tongued. Hu-hun was startled by his words and let out a gasp. You replied, That's just my opinion. Then he turned to him and asked if he could help her get a fair competition. You remember the tough training sessions she went through and told the story. She had to endure 6 years of grueling practice. If this single fails, she will never have another chance. He stroked his chin, listened intently to what you were saying, and then murmured, So, it's been 6 years of hardship. Then suddenly he asked, Do you know how to play Go? Though he didn't understand his intention, he still honestly replied, Yes, a little. The old man, hearing his answer, exclaimed with joy, Wonderful, Director Choi on the side, confused and unsure of what he was planning, nervously called out, Sir? A moment later, the old man took out a Go board and said, We will bet on Go. You chuckled and asked, Betting with the future of a young singer, huh? The old man smiled and replied, You're sharp with your words. Then he continued, For you guys, this might be a life and death game, but I'm just playing for fun. This is just a way for me to decide whether I should get involved in this or not. He looked at them again with a challenging expression and asked, So, do you dare to play? He stared at the chessboard in silence for a long time. The old man across from him kept promising, If you win, I'll do everything I can to help. Hearing that, his eyes immediately brightened, and with a very determined expression he replied, All right, Go. In the quiet room, before the match they had to flip a coin. The result was in, Dusok played white, and Seong played black. So the old man spoke up, You go first. The old man arrogantly asked, You want me to give you a handicap? He directly replied, Just play evenly. The old man, unable to believe it, asked again, With me, play evenly? You replied with great confidence, Yes, this is a fair competition. Both directors Choi and Hoo-hun were extremely tense as they watched the two players chess. Hoo-hun turned to ask him, "Director, how's the game going?" He whispered sharply, not daring to disturb the two players in front of them. "Why are you asking me that?" Then he continued, "It's best not to expect too much. Lee Do-sok has gone through many challenges to reach the high position he holds today, so he pours all his passion into Go." At this moment, the old man calmly moved his chess piece. "As for you, you were also intently watching the board's position." Outside, Director Choi kept talking. In other words, he was very serious about Go. Hoo-hun looked at the chessboard and silently marveled. "Min-hun Seong, your way of playing chess seems pretty good." Director Choi, standing nearby with his arms crossed, said, "But this move is a mistake." He asked in confusion, "Is there a problem with this move? If it were me, I would place a stone there to capture the white's territory." Director Choi replied, "As for the other guy, he doesn't know how to play Go," Hoo-hun defended. "Maybe he's just not good at it." Then he seemed to realize something and exclaimed, "The white pieces deliberately led you, didn't they? Go is the art of perseverance." He stared at the board for a while. Then he reached out and made a move. The old man saw your move and frowned slightly. A moment later he spoke up, "I've learned a valuable lesson." Hoo-hun then whispered, "Seong lost, didn't he?" Director Choi replied, "Yes, it was very close." You looked at the old man calmly and asked, "Too bad, we lost, so you're not going to help us, right?" The old man hesitated for a moment, then replied, "Well, I give up." Director Choi was stunned upon hearing this and asked in disbelief, "Sir, what do you mean?" The old man calmly explained, "At first, he pretended to be at a disadvantage, making slow moves to lower my guard, then switched to a chaotic strategy, launching a relentless attack to break my formation. He had predicted my skill level and the moves I would make, then countered with his own. Even though I accepted him, he only lost by half a point, so I can say I was utterly defeated. After that, I was tangled up for a few hours." The old man took out his phone, quickly snapped a photo of the chessboard, and happily laughed, saying, "It's been a long time since I played such a good game of chess." A few days later, Dung Arin's single was released, and initially, its performance was not very promising. However, with the help of Lee Do-sok, everything changed. News about Arin flooded major and minor online news outlets and hot searches. The famous singer Dung Arin received a shower of praise from top singers. Dung Arin's digital single for the coming-of-age audience was highly praised by renowned musicians. A message was sent, "If you want to return the favor, do it with a game of chess," followed by a picture with the words, "Always supporting you." You read the message sent by the old man and thought, "I've got more work to do, and Hoo-hun behind me is drinking beer and talking nonsense thanks to Mr. Lee Do-sok." Then he turned to him and said, "You should become a professional Go player. How are you so talented? It's so unfair." He asked as if it was nothing. "Go is supposed to be my specialty. Why should I choose it?" Then he continued, "At first I only chose Go because I didn't want to go outside." Though he said that, he silently added to himself, "Later I quit because I couldn't find a worthy opponent." The Mu-sit Conra program is about to start. Director Bak chuckled and muttered, "Director Choi, even bribing the press won't help now." The top spot is usually reserved for singers from small, lesser-known companies, giving them a chance to appear on television. At this point, TV had begun broadcasting music shows, and as soon as the program started, performances were aired without an MC introduction. The audience below kept shouting, "And after it's over, they will disappear without being mentioned." A moment later, Director Bak suddenly jumped up in shock, sending his wig flying as he shouted, "Not Dung Arin." On stage is another boy band. Kim Si-pai, a red-haired man on this side, heard Director Bak shout his name over the phone and was so scared that he broke into a sweat and said with difficulty, "I have no other choice. I didn't expect the boss to put so much pressure on us." When he heard what the person on the other end said, he raised his voice and said, "What? It's just Director Choi. Why should we be afraid?" He then added, "The person putting pressure on us is even higher than Director Choi. Don't you know that?" That was Mr. Lee Do-seok. He himself was already the pressure. The current music show, the two MCs said in unison, is followed by a special comeback stage of Ko-K to celebrate the 10th anniversary of their debut, and the comeback stage of the Thur Supper and Enveli. But before that, let's welcome the sizzling debut of rookie singer Dung Arin. The hottest debut rookie of the week, young Arin, with a bright face. Unexpectedly, the girl frequently featured in recent entertainment news, LS, must have thoroughly prepared for this debut performance. The press is writing about her non-stop. How talented must someone be to receive such high praise from musicians? It must just be a matter of not being sociable. Don't you know media frills? No. Watching the practice videos from when she was a trainee, it's clear she sings really well. You smiled and remarked, Lee Du-sok, media flay is a bit too much. Arin gracefully stepped out with a jackfruit in her hand. Her sweet voice rang out, You said you liked me. Maybe because of the clumsy way of expressing it. As soon as she started singing, the comment section exploded. What? What is this? Did I hear it wrong? Is that really her voice? Oh, it's not just me feeling this way. The intro vocals are amazing, unbelievable. How can she hit those high notes so effortlessly, like a dolphin? Watching the way she interacts with the camera, I feel so excited. Right, isn't she a rookie? It doesn't seem like a debut stage at all. She's so natural. I thought she'd debuted a long time ago. I really thought it was a comeback, but it turns out it's a debut. She's almost like a seasoned rookie now, and the audience all shouted Dung Arin. Hoo-hun sat watching the TV screen, unable to hide his excitement, and said, Well done, Arin. 6 long years, that's the time Dung Arin transformed from an unknown trainee in the basement of LS Entertainment Company. Indeed, it's quite a versatile instrument, capable of playing any piece of music. Not bad at all. Not long after, the MC's voice steadily echoed again, announcing the first live music show of May. Now, it's time to reveal the champion's position. Let's take a look at the top 2 candidates for the win. The first candidate is, of course, our KOK, and the next candidate is Dung Arin with the Song of Adolescence. Hearing that, Hoo-hun in front of the TV couldn't help but gape in astonishment, while he was equally shocked, thinking to himself, I thought KOK and Tho Sup Po would be the 2 contenders for the championship. Dung Arin, please step forward. Under the gaze of the audience and alongside the other contestants, she moved forward as the MC called her name. The audience became excited again. Her expression was so cute. Now she really looks like a rookie, completely different from when she was performing. However, she even surpassed the superstars to become a contender for the champion spot. There's a bit of suspicion about cheating. Is it really possible for a newly debuted rookie to achieve this? It's true that her performance was excellent, but being nominated for champion on her debut is a bit. The female MC raised her voice, sparking the audience's curiosity. Who will be the winner? Let's check the scores. Digital music scores, ballads, or girl group songs usually score high, as anyone, regardless of gender or whether they are fans or not, can stream the music. For boy groups, even if they make it onto the charts thanks to their large fan base, they are often quickly overtaken. Hoo-hun was extremely worried at this point, saying, having 2 artists from the same company nominated for first place, we'll definitely have to speak up about cheating, even though we've never done that. Of course, KOK is an exception, a score that fans particularly favor. And the total score is, the winner of the first week of May is, everyone, including you and Hoo-hun, sitting in front of the screen, was holding their breath waiting for MC to announce the results. Finally, MC said loudly, Congratulations to Dung Arin. After that night, discussions about Arin increased. One person wrote, Last week I missed the live music show. Just watched it today. Who is Dung Arin? How can someone be both beautiful and sing so well? Another person wrote, I realized something. Chini also unexpectedly became famous thanks to this single, Dung Arin too. But the common point is that both were composed by the same songwriter. Could it be that the songwriter is the Midas touch, turning everything into gold? Both of these posts had a lot of comments below. Suddenly, Hoo-hun called out to him, Hey Midat, who exactly are you? You didn't care about him and just said don't cause trouble, Hoo-hun replied. Why, I'm complimenting you. Congratulations, everything went well. I was really worried because this project had a lot of work. The director said he will adjust the contract for you. He heard that and froze for a moment, then muttered, Contract. Then he turned to Hoo-hun and asked, What about Dung Arin? He replied, The contract we signed before was just a short-term one. Are you saying you want to sign an exclusive contract? Then he cheerfully continued, It's signed now, and thanks to this success, she's receiving many invitations. She must be performing at the Banli Guan Festival by now. Arin was sitting in the car on the way to the performance, thinking to herself that even though she didn't win first place, second place was still great. Then she mumbled to herself, To achieve this with just one debut song, it's unbelievable. The Banli Guan Festival is an annual music event organized by Seun Street. Tickets to the festival are usually hard to come by and are often resold at exorbitant prices. It's a stage where every famous singer, from seasoned legends to rising stars, dreams of performing. Suddenly it started raining, and everyone was in a panic, wondering why it was raining like this. Ms. MC, calmly wearing a raincoat, announced, Thank you all for coming despite the bad weather. Before we start the program, we have an important announcement. Due to concerns about audience safety under adverse weather conditions, the performances of Enveli, Phi Bin, Bakhunsu, Tho Ot, and Chin Chin will be cancelled. We appreciate your understanding. The audience below was extremely dissatisfied, with one person exclaiming, "What? I can't believe it," while another said, "I spent a lot of money on these tickets." A group of people couldn't help but curse, "Damn it, why didn't they notify us earlier? They know the Matteo Nim are waiting to take pictures. If they want something, just say it outright. We're taking pictures to promote them, yet they treat us like this." A frustrated reporter thought, the weather forecast only said showers. Why cancel instead of rescheduling? Suddenly, a sweet voice rang out. "You said you liked me? Maybe it's because of the clumsy way it's expressed." Arin was singing passionately on stage, ignoring the rain. The steady lyrics echoed, "Sorry if I made you misunderstand, but I can't control my jealousy." The crowd was drawn to her singing and began to chatter excitedly. "She's the singer I saw on the music show. Really famous. What's the name of the song? It's so good. But is it okay with this heavy rain? It looks so dangerous. It seems like all the other singers have already left. It's really surprising." Arin is deeply grateful for this opportunity, thinking to herself, "Even though I'm just a replacement for another singer, I'm very thankful. Thankful to the audience who listened to me sing despite the bad weather. Grateful to the person who gave me the opportunity to stand on this stage, even though I am just an unknown rookie. Grateful to the person who showed me that after the rain comes the warm sunshine. The flight to Japan for your family is about to land." On a bustling street in Japan, Huna cheerfully spread his arms wide and kept shouting, "Japan! Japan! Huna is here." Her dad kept waving, "Huna, everyone's looking." Then he turned to you, Hun Sung. "Don't just stand there. Stop your sister," he replied in Japanese. "I don't know her." Although he was out with his family, he still couldn't stop thinking about work. "It seems that Director Nami has noticed me after meeting Mr. Lee Dusok. He invited me to a private dinner, and my contract was upgraded after I passed his secret test. Thanks to that, I was able to get a better job. Huhun was also very excited and offered to help me find a place. I calmly thought to myself, there's no need. I already bought a lot of houses in my past life. We had our first family trip to Japan. Huna put on a monokini and raised her hand to take a photo. She flashed a smile and said, "Daho?" Then asked Seong, "What's wrong? Do you really hate taking pictures?" He hesitated and replied, "It's just that people say memories only remain in photos." After that, the two took some candid shots. He thought, we had a great time together, losing track of time. After they finished playing, the three of them boarded the train. She and Moonsok leaned their heads against each other and fell asleep. You look out the window with a smile, thinking how wonderful it is to travel with the family. Why hadn't I done this before? Then he felt secretly pleased. That's great. Scene change at a record store. Seong held the cup, looking at the plate in front of him, thinking, too many vinyl records, huh? He turned in another direction and suddenly noticed something. You see a man playing an instrument and think to yourself, Trabat, and it's even a 5-string one. You stared intently at that spot and thought about it. Displaying records on the wall like that, you must be a music lover. The man holding the guitar looked worried, stammering with confusion. Huh? What's going on? Why isn't there any sound? You thought to yourself, it's probably like playing the lute to a cow. Then you walked up to the person and said, let me try tuning the strings. That person asked, are you a professional trombone player? He replied emotionlessly, not professional, but I know how to play. He anxiously watched you adjust and asked, hold on, are you tuning by ear? You replied yes. Seeing that, the artist thought to himself, Trabat has a very low pitch, so it's rare to tune by ear. Does he even know how to play? You look at him, pointing at the strings and saying, usually you tune to the harmonic pitch, but tuning to the actual pitch is more interesting. You finished editing and immediately turned to leave. Before going, you said, I'm really looking forward to your performance. He watched your back and thought, playing Trabat according to the sound is not an easy task. He took a deep breath, feeling anxious. The artist then started playing the instrument. The sound made everyone turn around to look. People hear the melody and immediately feel relaxed. You turn back to your seat and look toward that man. You thought to yourself, he's playing the Bazzi-Kato technique. I thought it was like casting pearls before swine. The man closed his eyes and felt the melody of the song. Suddenly he smiled and thought to himself, I have to take back what I just said. Suddenly Taichi appeared and said to the artist, what's wrong? Don't need me to fix it anymore? He was panting as if he had just run here and suddenly exclaimed, That's a wonderful sound. In Seong's father's dream, a voice echoed, Dear God, I will live an honest life, devoted only to my family. Please give me one more chance, a chance to make up for my mistakes. Suddenly there was a loud crash, and everyone screamed in fear. Someone was in the car. Moonsok stood there stunned as everyone around shouted, Call 119, hurry up! Below the street is an unconscious body, blood flowing everywhere on the road. Suddenly a gentle voice says, You need to eat well to be able to work. It turns out Moonsok's wife is unconscious on the street. Everyone is whispering and talking about her, and the voice continues, Is it good? The wife smiled, raised her hand with a gesture, and said, Then I'll marry you and cook for you 3 meals a day. Moonsok suddenly woke up from the nightmare, his face filled with fear as he shouted loudly. After yelling, the father coughed violently. Seung, standing nearby, looked worried and stammered, Are you okay, Dad? The flight attendant anxiously went to check the situation, when suddenly the announcement rang out. Our plane had arrived in Incheon. When they arrived at the hotel, Hoona pressed his face against the window, gazing at the view outside with an excited, delighted expression, and exclaimed, Wow, the Han River looks amazing. She turned and cheerfully said, I thought the trip was over, but it turns out we're staying here today, huh? Both of them ignored her. The father looked worried, rubbing his hands together as he spoke to the boy. It's so close to home. Why stay in a hotel? Hoon Seong grabbed the suitcase and replied, But this luxurious apartment doesn't look like a hotel, Dad. She happily ran around the room and said, Why is this hotel so big? It feels like home. I've only seen this in movies. He asked her, Do you like it? She happily opened the door and replied, Of course, I love it. When else would we get a chance to stay in a place like this? Suddenly she was surprised to see something. She was stunned, covering her mouth and saying, Oh, you. Hun-ae, his voice trembling, called out to him, Hey, brother. He calmly sat on the chair and said, I heard you, stop calling. She pointed at the room, confused, and asked, Why are my things here? She continued, Your clothes and books are at home. She stammered and asked, Why are my things here? He opened his eyes and smiled. You answered, Well, this is our house. And she was left stunned after hearing that. She couldn't believe it and asked again, Is this wonderful place our home? She and her father enjoyed looking at the view outside. He turned to look at the two. Seeing the two people happily enjoying themselves, the father smiled at his daughter, who was happily standing in front of him. Returning to the past, a friend approached and asked you, Have you chosen your next project yet? You were playing games while answering, Yes, I already have an idea. He pondered and continued, I want to make a personal album. You recall your father lying down, watching the lyrics with a very displeased expression, and then you continued, telling the story of my own. The content of the letter, Hello, Man Recot extends a respectful greeting to your company. This document is sent with the purpose of collaboration between both parties and requires absolute confidentiality. The content is as follows. The manager O read the letter and immediately asked why the document sent to Group 2 ended up with Group 1. Suddenly, the director appeared and spoke loudly, Hey you all, what are you chatting about? The loud voice startled him, and he stammered, Director back? The director angrily walked over, snatched the paper from him and shouted, If there's a problem, you need to report it right away. What kind of business is this company running? The director looked at the letter and said, What is this, Man Ricot? You said worriedly. It seems like this message was sent here by mistake. He continued, They want to cooperate with HS of the second group. The director looked serious and leaned closer to the paper to see more clearly. The boy thought to himself recently, Seo Chini's concert tour in Japan had officially started, and that musician's lousy name had reached the ears of a major Japanese record company. The young man scratched his neck, nervously looking at the director, and continued thinking. Director Bak was very annoyed because Chung Arin didn't flop as he had hoped. He would surely torment the staff in the next few days. The director looked at him and said, So Man Recot is looking for HS? Notify all the musicians of Group 1. The director pointed forward, his face full of pride, and said, Prepare some really impressive demo versions. You're surprised and said, But sir, Man Recot specifically mentioned HS from Group 2. The director cut you off. Manager. Oh, what's so unusual about this? HS is just a lucky kid. Are you saying our Group 1's musician is worse than him? HS or SH, it doesn't matter, as long as the song is good. The director flashed a smug smile and said, Especially for a large company like Man Recot. All my life, whether in the past or present, I've only been chasing money, running after money-making codes, but this album is a real challenge for me. Transition, in a Japanese house. There are two people playing chess. Suddenly a voice exclaims, Oh no, it's lost. Seong smugly said, You want to surrender, huh? The old man across from him angrily replied, The game isn't over yet. What surrender are you talking about? The old man continued, Just wait and see. As long as you set the chessboard aside for a moment and look at the world more broadly, you'll find a solution. You listened to the old man and looked at him in surprise. The old man looked at the chessboard and continued, Life is so vast, why confine yourself to such a narrow chessboard? He looked at him, lost in thought. He said in frustration, Time's up, sir. The old man was startled and said, So fast. When I heard him speak, I thought he was truly unrealistic. For me, Go is just a game, and a game only has winning or losing. Composing music is the same. You remember the moment before your dad suddenly yelled out, You nervously stammered, asking your father, Dad, are you okay? The scene shows his mother lying unconscious on the ground, bleeding heavily. You're feeling troubled, but your father is still here. You remember the scene of yourself playing the piano, and you think, troubled by your guilt. At that moment on the road, a voice suddenly rang out, HS, who is that? The driver turned around and looked behind, then said, He's a rising rookie musician from LS Entertainment. Haven't you heard of him before? Du Hui said, HS or LS, whatever. You know I wasn't asking about his identity, right? You rest your chin on your hand, gazing at the scenery outside, then continue. An unknown, insignificant musician daring to ask for collaboration with Oh Du Hui on a personal album? What's in a musician's personal album anyway? At best, just featuring a voice. He frowned angrily and gritted his teeth, saying, Just a few copies and he's already so arrogant, telling me to get lost. Transitioning to the next scene, Chabo is in the recording studio listening to music. He says, If Oh Du Hui rejects this song again, he sat wearing headphones, his face looking a bit serious, and said, Listening to it, you can understand. He listened while tapping the rhythm with his hand, thinking, This is the song I've been searching for. Scene change. In a certain company, a voice is heard. Well then, today's meeting is over. Hu Hun walked angrily, veins bulging on his face, thinking, So frustrating. He thought to himself, Director back, a man willing to damage the company for revenge. He kept thinking, he didn't care how his actions would affect others. He thought, since discovering his true nature, I have felt very uncomfortable every time I see him. In today's meeting, he kept flattering the director. Director back smiled and clapped, saying, Thank you, Director, for agreeing to let us collaborate with Man Ricot. He walked faster and faster, fueled by burning anger, wondering why Man Ricot wanted to collaborate with Group 1. Our Group 2 has Min Hui Seung, a hit-making machine. He walked into the recording studio and said, Sure. The producer Hit, Seung, who was composing music, turned to look at him. He took off his headphones and thought to himself. The producer sighed. He closed the door with a disappointed look and said, I anticipated that singers would refuse to participate in a rookie musician's solo album. Oh Do Hui rejected it bluntly. He continued, Only Mr. Moonbyom Che agreed to cooperate and you were left bewildered. You turned around, confused, hesitating as you said, Really? He looked at you curiously and asked, What? Why are you so surprised? He said, That's the person you wanted to collaborate with. Your face looked a bit confused and surprised. Seung thought, Working with Mr. Moonbyom Che has been my dream for a long time. In my past life, I believed he was one of the 5 greatest musical instruments. He recalled his conversation with Che, his face serious as he looked ahead and thought to himself, and I've also invited him to collaborate many times. Cho sat across from him, took off his headphones, looked at his phone, and said, It seems like you've put a lot of heart into this song. It really reflects your style, very good, and it's sure to be a hit. He said again, But I think it will only be famous. He continued, It seems like we're not a good match, sorry. Returning to the present, Hu Hun made a teasing face, pointing at him and saying, Are you afraid of Mr. Moonbyom Chai? He closed his eyes, replying helplessly, I'm not afraid, just a bit surprised that someone I thought would never agree actually did. Hearing this, the other person smiled and said, All right then. He took a step back and asked, Do you think he won't accept? His face was serious. I thought differently, but anyway, you have an appointment, so go quickly. He's waiting for you. Then Seung stood in front of the door, hands in his pockets, staring intently. You thought to yourself, I thought it was Mr. Moonbyom Che. Turns out it's Director Cheon Namai. His eyes were determined as he opened the door and thought, I guess the director would reach out to me after I decided to make a solo album. Namai saw you outside happily saying, Hello you. He asked him, You probably know why I called you here, right? He replied, To be honest, I think it's too early for you to make a solo album. He continued, Though you've had some hits, you're still a rookie musician and need to build your brand more. He asked you if you had anything else to say. You looked at him and thought to yourself, even though he was speaking politely. He picked up the cup of tea, you pondered, but what he meant was, if you can convince me, then go ahead and try. You remember not long ago he was buttering me up, and now just because of a small disagreement, he's changed his attitude so quickly, Director? Back to reality, he cheerfully said. As you mentioned, it might be a bit early, but sometimes, the non-commercial things are the most commercial ones. The old man said, You're playing with words again. You immediately denied it, saying no. You continue, Do you know the story about the goose that lays golden eggs? If you want to get golden eggs, don't slit the goose's belly like in the story. You continue talking, but even without cutting the goose open, we can still keep it. He looked at you with a serious expression. You look down, thoughtfully continue, by preventing anything that might make the goose curious. Make it believe that its current coop is the best and most suitable place for it. He continued, Just pamper it a little, and we'll get the golden eggs in the most efficient way. Isn't that the smartest way? He looked at him and thought, He's really clever in showing his stubbornness. He smiled and continued to think, but the kid had a point. He looked at the boy smiling and thought to himself, Even though he's still young, he's continually surprising me. Suddenly, a young woman walked in looking anxious and said, Director, I'm sorry for the interruption, but there's an important call. Both people fell silent and looked at her. She continued, Man from Japan wants to speak directly with him, and both of them suddenly looked puzzled. The old man thought to himself, Man they are working with Team 1, is there something wrong? He picked up the phone and said, Please transfer the call to me. The person on the other end of the line said, I am Sakamoto Taichi, Director of Man Record. Have you reviewed the document we sent you yet? The other side continued, Can we understand this confusing answer as a polite refusal? He was surprised and asked, Is there something that makes you dissatisfied? Just be straightforward. Taichi buried his face in his hands at the table and said, I've already made it clear in the document. He continued, We want to collaborate with HS. He said again, But I don't understand why you sent us such terrible songs. If you can't collaborate with HS, just say it plainly. You seemed confused after hearing that. Seong smiled, thinking that Director Cheon Nam-yu had overlooked a few things. You remember, your father worriedly told you, Hui Seong, not to stand there anymore. Quickly stop her. You replied in Japanese, I don't know her. You thought, I'm fluent in Japanese so I can understand the whole conversation. You keep thinking, and you recall Taichi running to the musician and asking, What's up? Don't you need me to fix it anymore? He gasped and said, What a wonderful sound. He looked towards Seong and asked, Is he the one tuning the strings? You rested your chin on your hand and smiled. You thought to yourself, I met the director of Man Record in Japan. Returning to reality, you said, Director, right now, I don't want to care about anything other than my personal album, just for now. He continued, What about you? Che lowered the phone and looked at him with a serious expression. You smiled smugly and said, Do you want to make the goose curious? Switching scenes at the music bar, Taichi says, Wow, you play live music that moves the entire audience. The cheerful friend asked, Really? Meaning it's been a while since I played again, so I'm very excited. Taichi looked at his friend and smiled. You look at him and think, Sakamoto Taichi. He is a representative of Man Record, one of the 3 largest record companies in Japan, very reserved and rarely collaborates with other companies. You stand up and walk over to him, hands in your pockets, eyes on him, and continue to think, not just entertainment LS, but even I, who had a reputation before coming back, am no exception. Suddenly, music started playing from the electronic speakers. Taichi looked at the speaker with interest and said, Oh, that's it. That's the one. His confused friend asked, What? He replied, The K-pop song I've been listening to recently, and it left such a deep impression on me. The tone and structure of the song are different, right? You're listening to music and thinking. The song playing right now is Let's Stroll Together by Seo Chin. Your friend looked at the speaker hesitantly for a moment and then said, I think it's just like other K-pop songs. He looked at his friend and asked back, What do you mean by the same? Taichi continued, like a talented singer-songwriter who has crafted a song that perfectly matches their style. It blends seamlessly with the singer's voice. He said HS again, I really want to meet him. Back to the present, Che sat on the sofa. Seong turned to look at him and said, It seems like something's up. He said, Hun Seong, just keep doing your job, you can go outside. You cheerfully replied, Oh, thank you, you thought, still saving face until the end, huh? He stood up, bent down and said, If you need help, just contact me. You turned around and smugly said, I'm sure you bought the car for me so I could do that. He helplessly covered his face and said, It's not about helping. He lowered his hand with a smug expression and said, I didn't want to waste my investment in you, so I tried to stop the production of your solo album. You think director Cheon Nam-yu believes that it's not right to let a subordinate be so arrogant. However, you recall that he must have understood the conversation or already knew about it. Judging by his attitude so far, I don't think he would play dirty. If he doesn't agree to my request, I'll be flitting around like a curious goose. You look at Namai with a smug expression while he frowns at you in annoyance. You think about approaching another company to release your personal album instead of LS Entertainment. You think this time I will go along with his wishes. After leaving Nami's office, a girl suddenly said to him, Musician, I've been waiting for you for a long time. There's a guest looking for you. You suddenly looked confused, a voice rang out. It seems like we don't get along very well. It turns out the person standing in front of you is Che. He raised his hand to greet you and said, Sorry, I am Moonbeom Che. Ranking, a harsh and challenging system. An experienced, talented, and romantic singer increasingly feels tired of this system. As the years go by, he feels like the world is gradually abandoning him. Scene transition, both of them arrive at the recording studio. Che told you that manager Kim has passed along his message. I want to contribute to your solo album. You look at him and think, in a past life, he must have harshly rejected me. You quietly thought, and now, has something changed? Why did you choose my song? He picked up the coffee cup and said, The reason is, he once thought that he had visited the Guggenheim Museum in Abu Dhabi and had seen a giant glass sculpture with sunlight streaming through the ceiling, creating a breathtakingly beautiful scene. Che replied, When I heard your song, it reminded me of that moment. Even though it was just a simple demo, you listened to the elder and looked bewildered. He was drinking tea while continuing to speak, but I could sense the message he wanted to convey. Think about it. The message. You asked him, so does that mean you only sing artistic songs? He set the coffee cup down on the table and continued. Art has many meanings and interpretations. I want to turn the question back to you. Isn't commercial music art? You asked again. People usually don't think or evaluate it that way. You continued. They thought those were commercial songs. He calmly closed his eyes and said, I think differently. He continued. I believe that anything capable of occupying someone else's time is art. Just like that day, I stood still in front of that sculpture until the museum staff announced it was closing time. He remembered that when he first heard the song, he listened to it repeatedly and pondered the emotions it conveyed. He said that today's youth have a habit of streaming music from idol groups continuously, even though they may only be obsessed with the singer, not the song. But if they truly listen, instead of just playing music for the sake of it, that is also a form of art. He continued, however, the art I pursue has a clear standard. It's the songs where I can feel the songwriter's story, even just by hearing the melody. You can hear the old man talking, leaving people completely stunned. You look at the old man and think his thinking is so sharp, not like someone of his age. I thought he was an artist lost in search of musical masterpieces, so he must have strong opinions about art. You think about it, but whether in the past life or this one, Mr. Moonbeon Che has always been a consistent person. He smiled to himself and thought, My feelings for you, a precious instrument, have not changed, sir. As the scene changes, a guy with glasses steps out of the elevator and hears a voice. Wow, that's hot. I can feel the heat from here. The blonde girl next to me looked through the door and said, The recording process of musician HS is always very harsh on singers, but this time it's even more terrifying. You listen, feeling helpless and terrified, thinking, hey, I don't want to go in there. In the recording studio, Seung said, a bit regretfully, Please sing that part again. He put on the headphones and said, Sir, I'm sorry, but I want you to sing that part again. The old man put on the headphones and tried to keep singing, even though Seung asked him to sing it again many times. Seung said it seemed like he was taking too many breaths, asked him to sing it again, noted that he sounded out of breath at the end, requested another take, and mentioned that his voice was a bit hoarse, so he should try again. Suddenly, the young man with glasses opened the door and said, Manager, I have something to discuss with you about the release of HS's album, while you are struggling with Che's recording. Hoo-hun turned around cheerfully and said, Oh, come in. The young man continued, It seems like we have to speed up the album release. He asked, Why is that? Didn't the revenue meet the target this quarter? His eyes avoided mine, awkwardly saying, No. But do you know Choi Bo? You were sitting in the chair, listening to him finish speaking, then turned around to look. He continued, There are rumors that Choi Bu will release a solo album by the end of the year. It seems he's preparing very thoroughly. Now singers planning to release albums in the second half of the year are asking to postpone their schedules to next year because of Choi Bu. Hoo-hun, after hearing that, anxiously cracked his neck and said, "Well, it's understandable. Chabo is—" He continued speaking, a musical genius of the previous generation, the king of copyrights, the hit-making machine. He's very famous for frequently appearing on television, so those nicknames suit him well. Moreover, he's also a pioneer in establishing the culture of releasing personal albums for musicians. He closed his eyes and continued, "It's a pity. Hui Seung's album theme is perfect for winter, so we're aiming for the end of the year. Let's try to speed things up." Suddenly, Hu Hun felt a presence behind him. He turned around in fear and exclaimed, "Huh?" It turned out to be Seung's killing intent. You glared at him and said, "Manager, I haven't even said anything yet anyway. That's not the right answer, is it?" Before you could finish, he screamed in fear, "No, you can't." He stayed silent and looked at Hu Hun. You turned to the guy with glasses and said, "Sorry, boss," Hu Hun shouted angrily. "Don't do that." You cheerfully said, "I want to move the release date of my album to the end of the year." You continued speaking on the same day as Choibo. At the 10th meeting of the Korean Musicians Association, one of the guests spoke up. "Chabo, I heard you're about to release a solo album. People around were discussing it too." "Yes, we've heard the same. Tell us a bit about your album, Chabo. We need to schedule it so it doesn't overlap with you." Hearing this, he laughed heartily and said that nothing was set in stone yet. Then, the other person replied awkwardly, "Is that so?" But in his mind he thought, this old fox has surely finished the album already. Rumors about his album being released in his birth month have already spread everywhere. Then he went on to ask, "Do you know a new artist with the stage name HS?" "Of course I know, I've heard about it too. A rookie artist who debuted and immediately had consecutive hit songs. Chini, Chung Arin, I heard he even discovered talent for Arin's debut." A person went to ask Chabo, "We are considering admitting HS into the association. What do you think, Chabo?" He thought to himself, "Go Sang-chun, he's trying to annoy me by mentioning HS. The hot topic in the music world has appeared like a shooting star. I don't care what title HS has achieved or what accomplishments they have reached. Since he doesn't affect me, the one at the peak of fame, however." "Sang-chun, you're right," Chabo responded. "I heard that HS's music is better than yours, so he's qualified." Sang-chun angrily thought, "That bastard at this moment," Chabo continued. "Everyone, is there anyone opposed to inviting HS to join the association?" Everyone raised their glasses and then replied, "Of course not." At this time, the streets were filled with the Christmas spirit. Seong sat in the house, lost in thought, wondering what gift would make her forgive him. Suddenly, Hu Hun approached and asked, "What's wrong, Min Seong? Why do you look so down?" "The album release is coming soon, so are you worried?" Seong replied, "No, I'm not." On Seong's computer screen, 10 gifts popular among teenage girls are displayed. Seeing that, Hu Hun asked, "Are you planning to give a gift? To a girl?" Hu Hun asked. And Seong replied, "Yes, I want to give a really meaningful gift. Since this is the first time we can enjoy Christmas comfortably after a long period of hard work." Hu Hun hesitated. "Aren't you dating a minor?" Hearing that, Seong froze for 3 seconds. After that, he was at a loss for words and exclaimed, "Huh." Suddenly, the secretary came in and said, "Chief Kim, it's time for the meeting." At that moment, Hu Hun suddenly remembered, "Oh, right." He said, "Anyway, don't choose anything, don't do that. Now you're even dating a minor? I'm really worried about you, Hun Seong." Seeing this, he was stunned for a moment, his mind full of question marks. Then said, "It seems like you misunderstood." At the meeting, everyone was buzzing. "Did you hear that the director's personal secretary took Menriko's document?" "Oh, you mean Director Back blocked the document sent to the two-star group. I know Director Back always works decisively, but I didn't expect him to be so childish." Hu Hun thought to himself, how ridiculous. He stole our project and is still sucking up to the director. At that moment, he suddenly appeared, and everyone in the meeting room thought to themselves, "Speak of the devil, here he comes." Looking at his appearance, he must have been scolded harshly by the boss. Why is the meeting in the big conference room today? Is there something important going on? At this moment, the leadership entered the room. After entering the room, the director pulled up a chair and sat down. "Rearrange the documents?" The people in the meeting room immediately whispered, "What? The entire leadership team?" The director suddenly said, "Everyone is here. Let's start the meeting, the first issue. Is it reasonable to schedule the release date of musician HS's third album to coincide with the release of Chaebol's album?" Director Choi thought helplessly, "Ah, it's because of Seong." Those present started to buzz, just as the release date was the same as Chaebol's. Then, one of them stood up and spoke, apologizing. But was this issue proposed by HS? And the secretary replied, "Yes, that's correct." Everyone fell into silence. Director Bach stood up and said, "I think it's a reckless decision. According to the report, HS's album this time is a solo album. While it's impossible to expect profits, yet it's deliberately released on the same day as Choi Bo, the musician known as the giant of today's music industry, which is truly unreasonable. Some people agree. Yes, I heard he's very young. Does he even understand the company's work? Hey, Department Head Kim, you can't even control a child and make us all gather here? Let's talk about personal matters later. I don't agree with Director Bak's opinion. Songhan, the head of production planning at LS, spoke up. I think this is a battle where, win or lose, we all benefit. Based on the achievements he has made, I believe he has the capability. He continued, immediate benefits are important, but if we trust and support him, he will never think about leaving the family in the future. Director Bak stood up surprised, and so did Chief Ban Lee. He always causes trouble. It's better to take this opportunity to teach him a lesson. Mr. Lee angrily shouted, Director Pak, watch your words. You're insulting our musician, Bak angrily retorted. Our musician? Director Choi, it's because you're weak that he's becoming more and more unruly. The loud shout of the leadership echoed, Stop! What are you all doing? We need to listen to the song before making a decision. Head of Department Kim, I want to listen to the songs from Seung's personal album right now. I'll report to the testing department and bring the USB right away. The assistant brought it over and asked if the director wanted to listen through headphones. He replied, Yes, go ahead. Seeing this, Hoo-hun thought to himself, the director was once again wearing headphones and listening to music during the meeting. I've been working here for so long, yet this is the first time I've witnessed this scene. Then, the leader closed his eyes and felt the sound of the new album composed by Seung. His fingers slowly tapped the table in rhythm. Everyone in the meeting is nervously waiting for the leader's opinion. Even Director Choi had to break into a sweat. A moment later, he put down his headphones and thought for a while. Then he spoke up. It's over, sorry, Seung. Chief Kim hadn't even finished speaking when Director Bak already showed a smug expression. In another development, Seung is shopping for Christmas gifts with his younger sister Hun-ah. After choosing the gift, he gave it to his younger sister, making her smile brightly. He affectionately looked at Hun-ah with joy. The battle between Seung's album and Chaebo is one worth joining, on the 24th of December. At 2:03:59, just after the moment between day and night, Christmas arrived, and the song Dia Mai Beethoven by singer Moon Boom-sung and composer H.S. was released. On Christmas Day, the albums of Chaebo and H.S. were simultaneously released, with a flood of headlines emerging. Exclusive news, hitmaker H.S. shakes up the music scene this year. His solo album, Confession, officially launched at midnight, reported by Waikiki News Center. Composer H.S. confidently asserts that this album is a work of art, saying, I will conquer with music. After reading, Hoo-hun couldn't help but shiver. Seung spoke up, Boss, I thought it was an earthquake, calm down. Hoo-hun shouted, How can I stay calm? You're way too indifferent about this, even though it's your own album. We're just doing our job, I'm creating. As for everyone promoting, distributing, and selling, Hoo-hun heard this and said firmly, I'm fine, but if others hear you say that, they will be very upset. The strategy team, the marketing team, the distribution team, the AR team, no one is slacking off. Everyone is fully committed. Since joining the company, they have never worked so hard. It was that demanding and arrogant rookie composer who ignited their passion and drive. On TV news, the personal album, Confession, by musician H.S., was released during Christmas, but its performance didn't match the full support from the entertainment company, LS. Netizens mocked it, daring to compare it to Chaebo. Hearing this, Hoo-hun became annoyed and shouted angrily, What's wrong with comparing? Is Chaebo a noble or royalty or something? Another big news emerges. Music critic tycoon Chansu says the era where promotion and marketing determine rankings is long gone. The public is getting smarter and has a clearer taste in music. He got even more frustrated. Chansu, that old man, always hovers around whenever our artist releases an album. So annoying. Is he a beggar? Why does he keep showing up like that? All of the company's marketing channels are focused on me. If I still fail despite such full support, I need to objectively reassess myself. In this case, either the song isn't good, or it's way ahead of its time. My song can't be bad, so it's definitely the second case. At this moment, a woman walks in, handing over the album. The next morning at LS Entertainment, outside the office, the entertainment reporter from NBS, Chin-sun, looked up and immediately saw a familiar face, Manager Kim. Where are you going, Manager Kim? You've got the wrong person. Wait, hold on, I said you've got the wrong person. Suddenly, Chin-sun coldly warned, If I say anything, you'll be in trouble. Recently there was a scandal involving an artist from a certain group, right? Are you sure we should be talking about this here? A few days ago, the leader of a second-tier idol group was investigated for marijuana possession. Even though they are not an artist I directly manage, since they're also part of the second-tier group, I feel like I've aged a few years after witnessing how the case was handled. It took quite a while to sort things out. That annoying reporter managed to get the information. Finally, Hoo-hun had to talk to him. Follow me. They both went up to the company rooftop to talk. Hoo-hun then asked, "How did you know?" He replied, "I just dug around like I always do. As soon as I smelled it, I called the police and the prosecutor, then ran around everywhere. I was working like crazy, from the police station to the prosecutor's office." Hearing him talk in circles, Hoo-hun immediately got to the point. "What do you want? Let me meet HS once." "What's wrong? Is my request unreasonable? It's just a meeting and an interview. Why are you so surprised?" "Why HS?" Chinsun hesitated and replied, "Because I am a fan of him." Hoo-hun muttered to himself, "What's to announce?" then spoke up. "He doesn't like being in the media, so I'm not sure." "Ah, then I guess I have to spill the beans." "Go ahead and expose it if you want. I just promised to pass the message along. To be clear, if he doesn't agree, there's nothing I can do. At that point, whether you want to expose it or keep it quiet is up to you." This bastard daring to challenge me. It was so authoritative, Chinsun smiled with contempt. On the other hand, in the elevator on the third floor, "Sorry, I'm late because of work." Manager Kim seemed uncomfortable, so I agreed to meet him. Before that, Hoo-hun returned home in anger. "How dare he threaten me? I will handle this myself." Before I could finish my sentence, Seong interrupted, "All right, I'll help you." This made Hoo-hun extremely amazed. What should I do? The elevator doors opened, revealing someone standing there waiting. Seong suddenly thought of something. On the other hand, Chin-sun was in the waiting room, waiting too long. He cursed under his breath, daring to keep me waiting for an hour. This is a declaration of war. I will expose 2 or 3 scandals at once, including the drug case. Is this reporter Chin-sun? Sorry I was late. I am musician HS. I am Chin-sun, an entertainment reporter for NBS. Are you riding a motorbike? No, I rushed to prepare for the interview, and now, he thought to himself, rushed preparation, he's wearing a helmet, not a mask or a cap. I won't take a picture. It's so hot. You should take off your helmet. I feel more comfortable wearing my helmet. Let's get started. What a weird person. The interview started with some typical questions, from the debut to notable activities, summarizing his brief career. He was confident. He was filled with an incredible level of confidence. Chin-sun continued the interview. You're widely known thanks to Chini, right? That's correct. Is there any reason you chose Chini for your debut song? I just thought she was a good instrument. Chin Seon immediately wondered, musical instrument? The reason Chini failed is because she doesn't know how to play music. In fact, it's the producer or the musician's fault. What about Arin? I also think she is a good musician. The company was concerned because she was a dismissed intern, but I believe she has proven her abilities. So, the final question, I've heard you intentionally postponed the release of your solo album because you wanted to compete with the famous musician Chabo. HS calmly replied, That's right. Chinsun continued, Currently, your performance is worse than Chabo. Do you think the situation could be reversed? Let us know your determination. HS smiled faintly. Transition, the interview with HS has just been posted. A female interviewer immediately asked, Chabo, have you watched it yet? Would you bet your career with me? This challenge made both Chabo and HS very excited. Looking back at the last interview with HS, I heard you intentionally postponed the release of your solo album to compete with the famous musician Chabo. Currently, your achievements are falling short of Chabo's. How do you feel about that now? I'm not sure if I should call this a competition because I'm sure I'll win. The situation could completely reverse, but I'm very confident. If Chabo agrees, I'd like to propose a bet to delete the account. Competing in music with Chabo, betting a career. Returning to Chabo, the interviewer continued. Currently, the interview with rookie musician HS, who released an album on the same day as Chabo, is causing a stir. Chabo, what do you think about this? First, I don't think we're competing with each other, even though we released albums at the same time. Do you mean HS's career and skills are far behind yours? Time has passed, and it's been a month since Chabo and Seung's album was released. After Chabo's interview, public attention towards this battle grew, and Seung's song Dia My Beethoven climbed the charts in a miraculous way. Right now, at the office, the assistants are chatting. Isn't it amazing? This is truly a miracle. But the fandom of Chabo is so powerful that beating him to win the championship is not easy at all. The loser will have to donate 500 million kwon. Chaebok is wealthy beyond measure, but for a rising rookie, that's not a small amount. The deadline is approaching. Director Choi, haven't seen you much around lately. I have many external meetings, so I'm often absent. Isn't it because you're afraid of losing talent? Director Baek sarcastically continued. Seung is about to donate all the money he's earned. What should we do? I knew it right from the moment he insisted on releasing an album at the same time as Chaebo, betting his career, donating. Why would he do such reckless things? If he loses, the reputation of LS Entertainment will also be affected. Better to take a risk than to steal, right? Director Choi immediately retorted, Seung is still young and impulsive, while I have had enough already and am still greedy? Hearing this, he couldn't help but get angry and shouted, I only want to do what's best for the company. Who would steal someone else's opportunity for the company's benefit? That's called theft. And Director Baek, please speak politely when in the company. You seem really unprofessional. After that, Director Choi closed the elevator door. I excused myself. Hello, I am Suchin, Mr. Taichi's interpreter. Mr. Taichi, the director of Menrico, then spoke up, apologizing for arriving unannounced without a prior appointment. Director Namai. No worries, HS. The person you want to meet is about to arrive. The leadership team gathered in the director's office. After Samo Taichi unexpectedly arrived in South Korea, just to meet HS, a woman hurriedly said, Seung, go greet everyone. He's been waiting for you for a long time. This is Mr. Samo Taichi, the director of Menrico. Sorry I'm late, I was too busy. I am HS, pleased to meet you. Mr. Samo went straight to the point. I'm here to propose a collaboration with musician HS. This is the music copyright purchase agreement. We can meet all your conditions. Seung took it and examined it extremely carefully. Besides that, Director Baek and Director Choi anxiously waited. Finally, you spoke up, thanking him for the offer. First, let me take a look, and I will consider it carefully. The answer left Samo utterly astonished. After careful consideration, he should agree immediately. This is a life-changing opportunity. Is he crazy? I was worried because you're young and inexperienced, but you're very calm and mature. What a stroke of luck. I have an interview scheduled, so I need to leave early. Please think it over carefully. After that, Director Choi sat back and asked, Why didn't you agree right away? It's an offer that benefits you. Hu Hun was equally worried. Seung, if just a few articles report on your collaboration with Menrico, you could win against Chaebo. He responded, That's exactly why I don't like it. I'll win without having to resort to dirty tricks. You are so arrogant, Thang. What does he rely on? But I have no intention of refusing Menrico's offer, Seung continued. I will think about it after this commotion settles down. However, the rankings remain unchanged as time goes by, and the final day of the bet with Chaebo has arrived. At that moment in the office, a female voice asked, Kim, are you very worried? It's okay. The rankings will be updated twice more today. Hu Hun just nodded a few times to brush it off. Suddenly, he thought of something. On the other hand, Samo is having an interview. Menrico, known for his unique musical style, is known for his standards in choosing a good song. Mr. Samo Taichi, actually I have some discontent with the current music market. Could you share more specifics? The music market today is flooded with similar songs because too many are released every day. However, musicians still cling to their money-making formula, refusing to change. To break this situation, someone needs to make a breakthrough. Instead of relying solely on machines to create hit melodies, they need to embrace challenges, such as using live musicians instead of electronic instruments, to pave a new path. In your opinion, is there any musician today who can take on that role? The voice of Samo whispered, HS. Today, I arrived in South Korea to meet composer HS, whom I believe will become a trailblazer. After the interview, a headline emerged, with music distribution tycoon Samo Taichi acknowledging that musician HS has the Midas touch. News center Yikiki, owner of Menrico, Samo Taichi, is paying attention to rookie musician HS. Who is he? The song Dia My Beethoven has climbed to the top. Announcement from Niiot, official musician HS Chaebo, please donate the amount as promised. Chaebo, do you think you'll lose? What are your thoughts right now? Do you have anything to say? I accept the result. I've also listened to HS's music. All of it is really good. If I get the chance, I'd like to bet with him once again. Some fans believe the outcome was reversed entirely thanks to the support of Samo Taichi, the director of Menrico. What do you think about this? Anyway, the result is still the result. Maybe because Chaebo kept his promise, happily donating 500 million won, people cared more about the outcome than the bet. So, Chaebo decided to consider the 500 million won donation as an investment in brand building. although his revenue has also increased due to public attention. But Chabo still couldn't forget this grudge, that annoying little brat. On the other hand, Seong thought to himself, what a pity, even though it wasn't intentional, I have cheated. After thinking for a while, I gave up. Just assume everything is fine. At this moment, Chini appeared. Seong, don't you know how to treat a guest? Don't you think you're an uninvited guest? You still don't know how to say sweet words, do you? Suddenly, Chini handed him something and said, take it. Seong asked, what's that? Chini continued, you always dress like a child, always wearing hoodies. I'm just a kid, and suddenly, Hoo-hun interrupted, as they always argue. Chini is right, Seong. This time you have to treat Chini well. Thanks to her cover video on YouTube, the challenge of hitting high notes has become popular. Why do you treat badly the person who opened the door for your song like that? Are you sure it's Chini? A good song will naturally become famous, and there's an off-key note in the final bridge. The last part before the outro is also extended by half a beat, so it overlaps with the variation. Did you watch the video? Chini asked. I just watched for fun. Anyway, you've stopped the habit of tensing your chin when hitting high notes, so it sounds more pleasant. But isn't it Manager Kim who should be the one giving gifts to the musician? Why me? He makes more money than I do. He's practically a walking corporation now. That's right. It's been a year since Seong joined the company. In that year, Seong has achieved remarkable accomplishments. To put it a bit mildly, he's really a mobile conglomerate. Thanks to that, I was recognized and had the potential to become a candidate for future leadership. Seong, don't retire. You'll always be mine. A new day begins at LS Entertainment. Suddenly there is a scream, so terrifying. A man holds a record in his hand and ponders. Seong's song goes like this. The melody hums. The world is so noisy, but I always live in silence. Sometimes, I feel lucky because of it. At this moment, Huna returned and asked, where is our father? On days I want to cry out loud, I cover my head and sob. I'm sure you don't know, but yes, I used to hate you. Even if it's all just the fault of this world, even though I know Dad won't hear, I wish I had told him that I'm sorry. Now, I can only whisper the words left unsaid, live, live, keep on living. Even though the war between Chabo and HS has ended, the world is buzzing with another piece of news. Officially, Menrico and HS confirm their collaboration. Suddenly, Seong asked, Director, why did you propose to collaborate with me? This contract is too generous, unlike you, who are merely interested in my music. Samor sighed and said, a young man gave me the answer. He recalled that day, I came to fix the troublesome contrabass of an old friend, and a young man tuned its strings by ear. We exchanged business cards. HS, a person with exceptional skill in tuning strings to the perfect pitch, is the musician of Chini, someone I very much want to meet, and the fact that he was once in the same place as me makes me deeply moved. Now, Samo continues, my youth was all about composing music. I would sleep with the bow in my hand, my fingers gliding over the keys, and when I woke up, I would continue jotting down musical ideas. Living like this, I could easily recognize those with a similar soul to mine. Se-young, you have also lived like that, haven't you? He thought to himself at that moment. You have. May I offer a piece of advice? This line of business isn't for you, it's only for me. If one day, someone in this industry suggests working with you and says it's for your benefit, then remember my words. Suddenly Samo smiled. All right then, let's keep working. Switching to Seong's recording studio, Samo has a question. Can you tell me why you chose to produce gem music? Since I like that game, it's the soundtrack for Animal Island Season 2. Actually, as soon as I received the collaboration offer, I came up with a demo. Do you want to hear it? Samo heard that and panicked so soon. Then Seong immediately took his seat and play a short piece for Samo to listen to. This time, combine the accompaniment too. Samo listened intently to the melody. Suddenly he discovered something, screamed immediately, then quickly edit, add Happy Cho to the blank section. Make the song more poignant. Seong said, can you add the virtual instrument I requested, of course. The song is a bit grandiose, like a final boss theme, so let's get rid of it and replace it with an instrument that has a lower range. And I think we should hire an orchestra to record the segment from here to here. Symphony orchestra, Seong wondered. Yes, I contacted a top Japanese symphony orchestra before coming to South Korea. They just arrived, so I'll have them come here right away. Seong quietly admired. It's incredible. This might just be the life-changing opportunity the leadership was talking about. A new day begins at LS Entertainment Company. Seeing the crowd gathering around, Director Bak asked, what is that? I heard that HS just started a fan club, so it must be his fan club. A bit noisy, but it's normal for fans to gather in front of the company gate. Let's just go have lunch. What an eyesore. On the other hand, Hoo-hun is on the phone. Yes, hello, what's going on, director? Department head Kim, have you seen the message I sent? Not yet, wait a moment. Seong's fanculip. Suddenly, Director Bak shouted, the fan club of that damn musician is gathering in front of the company gate. It's too noisy. I can't eat or drink anything. He got angry for no reason again. Then Hoo-hun said, sorry, but anyway, they were just there for a while. When things cool down, they'll disperse on their own. Hope the director understands. What, he can't eat or drink? Why doesn't he go outside and mingle with the fans a bit? That way they would be satisfied and disperse. Seong, the director of the North. You know Seong doesn't like to be in the spotlight, so why are you insisting on this? He's right, fine, I'll step out for a bit. To make everyone happy and surprise Hoo-hun a little, Seong. My only joy is drinking beer after work. But that dull life changed when I met the passion and sincere melody of an unknown musician. HS will be down shortly. Everyone please line up and wait. I had to spend a lot of time setting up the fan K by myself and getting here. Finally met HS. Suddenly there were some howls and screams. Someone was coming out. They were excited nonstop. But then gradually it quieted down. What is that? Isn't it HS? Sipbio? Suddenly a scream rang out. It was HS. Now, we will begin the small fan meeting of musician HS. Everyone please line up. What? Is that HS? Hey, this is a gift from me to you. I made it myself. It's a vitamin supplement. Remember to take it. Yes, thank you. Thank you all for coming here. But please don't wait around. I still have work to do. I will take a picture with each person. Then everyone, please go home and listen to my music with your family. All right? His appearance is even more handsome than Adu. How can he have such a sweet voice and be that good looking? I really love all your songs. Thank you. Next person. Hey, I really like you. Me too. Next person. I love you, marry me. No, the next person. Finally, it's my turn, a fan thought to himself. Hasu immediately said, give me your phone, I'll take a picture for you. I'm sorry, Hasu. Could you take off your glasses for a moment? If you don't take off your glasses, I won't go anywhere. Just a little bit. See, I saw it but couldn't capture it. The small meeting of HS ended successfully. Entertainment corner, everyone wanted HS. Since then, the image sketching the face of HS began to spread online. Seong asked, hey everyone, why does the orchestra sound so off? Because you exploited them before letting them rest. Director, have you listened to the song yet? Samo immediately praised it, saying it's very good. Although it's a fantasy game set apart from the real world, the song conveys a genuine feeling of the 4 seasons. The theme song of Animal Island Season 2, composed by Seong, revolves around the theme of the 4 seasons, the warm spring, the cheerful laughter of children starting a new school year, and the radiant smiles blending with the fragrant scent of flowers. Summer arrives, and the lively sounds of the instruments chase away the sweltering heat. Autumn, the melancholy sounds of musical instruments evoke the rustling of falling leaves. Winter, the chilling melody like falling snowflakes. Once we get through this freezing winter, the warm spring will return, so cherish hope and patiently wait. Hoo-hun was also surprised. It's unbelievable how he always creates such great songs. But each season has a different theme, so it's hard to name the song. Have you come up with a title yet? Then the title is Emptiness. Hoo-hun and his female colleague were quite surprised by Seong's abstract song title. Perhaps he had put a lot of thought into naming the song, so the two of them didn't decline. However, Hoo-hun still has a few questions. What do you mean? At that moment, Hoo-hun put on his headphones to enjoy the music. All the instruments and voices went silent. He smiled faintly because he understood why the title was chosen. It's a good name. A few days later, Taichi was extremely pleased with the theme song for Animal Tao 2 composed by Seong. Upon returning to Japan, he immediately localized Seong's song, and the song made it into the top 100 on the Japanese music charts. According to the weekly rankings, the song he composed reached number 47. Many Japanese companies have contacted Seong, inviting him to participate in advertising production, broadcasting programs, entertainment shows, or to be a judge for talent selection programs. At the school where Huna is studying, during recess, all the students are enthusiastic about music. Somewhere in the background, the song keeps playing and never gets old. Yes, this is the best song by Bomche, but Bomche only contributed vocals. So whose song is this? It's the title track from that musician's solo album. Is it HS? Don't you know, Huna was right behind those two and was startled by the name. On the other hand, the two girls were overly excited when they learned more about HS. Do you think HS is very handsome? What? Handsome? Show me a photo. He hasn't shown his face yet, just a sneak shot of his eyes, but someone already posted a sketch of HS's face online. After seeing it, Hun-ah, that girl even excitedly called out, Hun-ah, have you seen this yet? It's a sketch of musician HS's face, and he looks insanely handsome. Everyone still doesn't know that she is the sister of the person they are searching for, so Huna is quite hesitant. She starts steering the conversation in another direction, but it seems people are exaggerating a bit. How can a musician be as handsome as an idol? Two of her friends frowned in annoyance. Who knows, you haven't met him yet, so how can you jump to conclusions? Stop it, don't aim for my future boyfriend. At this point, Huna could only swallow her anger. She already said he's not that handsome. Suddenly a message was sent from Seong. The basic content is Seong forgot his bag in Huna's room, so he asked her to bring it up. Huna feels annoyed because she didn't expect to become her brother's errand girl. When she was about to refuse, another message came in that made her change her mind. I'll give you a delivery fee of 500,000 kwon. Huna stood frozen for a while, seeming hesitant, but inside she was jumping for joy. Not long after, she was standing in front of Seong's workplace with his belongings. Huna stared in disbelief, as if she couldn't believe her eyes. Was this real? Skyscraper. The interior is extremely luxurious. The receptionist kindly assisted me because I am the younger sister of musician H. Seong. After being escorted to the elevator by the staff member, Huna was even more amazed by the grandeur of the place. Just in time, another girl stepped into the elevator, making Huna hurry. Wait a second, let's go together. The girl over there is Arin, a beautiful star in the entertainment industry with an extremely large fan base. Arin slowly lowered her glasses to observe Huna. Noticing the resemblance to Seong, Arin instinctively called out HS. As for Huna, she was stunned by the sharp beauty of the idol. Arin, right? It must be Arin, right? Not getting a response, Arin shyly stepped aside. At the same time, the elevator had arrived at Shung's office. It seemed he was heading somewhere, so he was already waiting in front of the elevator. Seong was a bit surprised to see his sister with Arin. Oh, you're here already? Both of them called him and the musician. The next second, the two girls exchanged doubtful glances. Arin moved closer to Huna and questioned, Your sister, huh? Yes. Seong also said that Huna was his sister, which made Arin very excited, saying no wonder they look alike. Arin turned to Huna and said, Huna, right? I've heard a lot about you. The composer praises you all the time. The two brothers immediately questioned each other. Have you ever praised me? We're real siblings after all. Arin added that the musician was also worried about her becoming a singer in the future. I've never attended extra classes, yet I'm incredibly good at studying. Then she passed the prestigious university entrance exam on her first try. Seong shyly shouted, Stop it. Don't you have anything else to do? All right, I'm heading out. You two keep chatting. After Arin left, the atmosphere became much quieter. Sung turned to ask Huna, The clothes, did you bring them? She suddenly remembered the bag she was holding and handed it to Sung. Here you go, thanks. When he was about to leave, Huna still stood there, unmoving. This has been bothering Seong. He loudly asked his sister, Anything else? At that moment, he remembered his message and thought, could she really be asking for spending money right at his older brother's workplace? Huna felt embarrassed and reacted, wondering what she thought he was. Then her eyes grew sad. Dad, very touched, listened to the album. And it seems okay. Hearing this, his emotions started to surge. His father didn't care much for music, didn't want to listen to it, and didn't want to face the harsh reality that he couldn't hear. But Dad asked me about the emotions the song brought. You read each line of the lyrics, and explain the meaning of the song to Dad. Cut to a barbecue restaurant. Hoo-hun and Hoo-seok are talking about work. Hoo-seok complains to him that promotions are far off, bonuses are meager, and internal politics are complicated. To be honest, LS Entertainment has launched so many artists who are living luxuriously like stars, while you're still struggling to make ends meet. Hoo-hun replied, They succeed because they have talent, so they deserve those things. You don't need to feel unfair. Dear director, what is your intention? The person you're talking to is Hoo-seok, the former head of LS, and is now the director of a newly established entertainment company. He is my former boss. Hoon-seok made an offer, transfer the job to our company. Before Hoo-hun's astonished eyes, he started making some points. Our company may be small, but its growth rate is very good, profits are also high, and it will soon be profitable. Hoon-seok handed him a stack of terms and tried to persuade him. We value your skills highly. If you join our company, you'll be treated better in recognition of your outstanding achievements. Both fell into a lull, with the heavy atmosphere enveloping Hoo-hun. He glanced at the stack of papers in his hand and immediately felt tense. Seeing Hoo-hun's hesitation, Hoo-seok skillfully added that there are many talented managers here, and as mentioned, you are one of them. He looked directly into his eyes and replied, Then you must have another reason for wanting to recruit me. Under these circumstances of changing jobs, Does it include taking HS along? Facing Hoo-hun's question, old Hoo-sok did not respond but remained silent, deep in thought. Still getting no answer, Hoo-hun instinctively understood his true purpose. He immediately stood up and asked to leave. As soon as he left the dining table, Hoo-sok spoke up, from department head to internal director, isn't that still enough? Hoo-hun saw this as one of the traps to lure himself in, so he immediately rejected the offer. He knew it wasn't a matter of whether it was enough or not. HS is a musician under LS Entertainment, officially signed to the company. If I leave, the relationship between me and HS will end. Even though Hoo-sok was caught off guard, he still tried to persuade them. Think about it, HS is just a kid. I heard he's already made enough money. You're an adult, just sweet-talk him a bit and he'll agree to settle the contract and join our company. In the end, the old man's true colors have been revealed. Hoo-hun slammed his hand on the table in anger. What are you talking about? You know how complicated this industry is. If you unilaterally break the contract and make enemies with LS Entertainment, suddenly Hoo-sok changed the subject and asked Hoo-hun about his health. This unexpected turn left him feeling confused, and he didn't know what to say anymore. Hoo-sok said, if you switch jobs to our company, you'll start as a department head, not as a division or team leader, and the salary will be similar or higher compared to the department head position at LS Entertainment. Hoo-hun still couldn't regain his initial composure. He could only stare blankly at the juicy bait that Hoo-sok had prepared. Just saw Hoo-hun clenching his fist. He quickly grabbed his coat and left without a word. I'll reach out later. Leaving Hoo-sok clutching his head in frustration. When he was already outside at the taxi stand, the man silently cursed him as a fool. On the other hand, at a roadside diner, Director Choi was enjoying his hot bowl of beef blood soup when Seung spotted him. Is that Seung? What are you doing here? He walked to the table and said, what a surprise to see you at a place like this. Director Choi said, this is the best beef blood soup restaurant in our company. Why wouldn't I come here? Are you going alone? Seung picked up the menu and started choosing dishes. He replied, I planned to have lunch with my sister. She came to the office, but she ended up going out to eat with friends. Director Choi was a bit surprised. Your younger sister, a student, she's starting college this year? At that age, friends are everything. Seung's soup pot had been served. Director Choi suddenly asked him, has Manager Kim been very busy lately? He used to reply to my messages immediately, but it's been half a day, and I still haven't heard back. He's definitely busy. What's the matter? Seung wondered, as Director Choi paused for a few seconds and then called his name. He said, Kim, don't let Seung worry too much. The boy is already worried enough. What do you mean, anyway? Just take care of him a little. Seung was puzzled by his cryptic remarks. Why should I worry? He always handles everything well. The soundtrack project for Animal Island is still ongoing, with the theme song completed by Tai Chi and me. I still have to compose 14 pieces with 14 different themes. Maybe it's because I used to love this game so much, or because this is my first time trying out electronic music. So imagining topics and turning them into music is truly fascinating. I want to experiment with new chords and instruments, but why is everything homemade like this? This is karma for me being obsessed with making money, chasing after safe chords. In times like these, Seung turned to Assistant Ha, who said, I need to do silly things to heal myself and find new ideas. Later, Seung mentioned Manager Kim to her. He has finished work already. Assistant Ha was quite surprised. How could he leave work so early? It's only 2 in the afternoon. He asked for a half-day off and went home, saying he had personal matters to attend to. What's going on? I have no idea. The manager never shares personal matters with us. Just then, Director Choi showed up. Assistant Ha, there you are. Director, why are you here? Director Choi said he had documents that needed to be delivered directly to Hoo-hun, so you stopped by since you had business on this floor. She reminded him. But Department Head Kim had already taken a half-day off and gone home. A half-day off? So there must be something going on at home. Seung was quite concerned about Hoo-hun's situation. He kept questioning the director. What's going on at home? What's happening? Seung, did you also come to find Manager Kim? You replied, yesterday you even told me not to worry too much. There must be something going on. Director Choi felt a bit awkward. It's understandable that you don't know. He never shows it. Manager Kim has a sick mother living alone. According to the director, he went to the house of Chief Kim and was invited in. What immediately caught Seung's eye was the shiny sofa, wondering what it was for. Hoo-hun explained that the new house has a separate living room, which is very spacious. The south-facing window lets in sunlight with a neat rectangular structure. A sofa in the living room will be the highlight of the house. It sounds like Hoo-hun is very proud of this arrangement, but Seung is the opposite. He has no idea what Manager Kim is talking about. Let's put this aside, he continued. We have to create a comfortable space for the parents to rest. It would be very unpleasant if they had back pain while watching TV. So they can watch music shows featuring our artists. Seong's eyes grew calm, and he gently reminded Hoo-hun, you should take care of yourself first. All right, I'll take care of them. At the hospital where Mrs. Kim's mother is being examined, patient Hae-cha was treated with a medical catheter 6 hours ago. Before, Hoo-hun had visited the doctor treating his mother and was briefly informed about her condition. The doctor mentioned a device called a catheter, which is a tube inserted into a vein near the heart. As I mentioned, we need to perform a second surgery to remove the metastasized tumor. Hoo-hun asked about the timing of the surgery. Along with that is the cost of the second surgery, which is equivalent to the first one. Without health insurance, probably around 20 million won. I had anticipated this. The cost of cancer treatment for my mother will be very high, reaching tens of millions of won. However, I've heard that I have the potential to become a candidate for a leadership position in the future. The entertainment company LS is considering promoting me. Just try a little harder. Hoo-hun entered the room to visit his mother. The resilient woman felt more at ease after seeing him. Hoo-hun, you're back? I heard the doctor say you had chemotherapy this morning. Are you okay, Mom? Are you okay? A message came through on his phone. The landlord has sent this message to inform you of some bad news. Hello, I'm the landlord. You mentioned wanting to renew the lease, right? The rent will increase by 5%. Will you be able to pay this? Please confirm soon. Hoo-hun is once again in a bind. There are no signs of improvement in his mother's condition, and he doesn't know how much more he'll have to pay for medical expenses. On top of that, now he has to pay an additional 5% of the rent. Feeling overwhelmed by the daily struggle to make ends meet, Hoo-hun could only hide his own vulnerability to avoid making his mother worried. At the checkout counter, Hoo-hun requested to pay the hospital fees for the patient Hae-cha. I will pay for the second surgery later. For now, I will just cover the hospital and chemotherapy costs. The receptionist checked some information and then notified me. Patient Hae-cha has already paid, and Hoo-hun was left stunned. Someone has already paid for her. Who was it? I am the only guardian of my mother. I have asked that person since I have never met him before. He is a tall, handsome, and very funny young man. Don't you know him? He claims to be a good person. Manager Kim briefly thought of Seong, who seemed quite skeptical about this, so he was frozen for a few minutes. After Hoo-hun received the news that his mother's hospital bills had been paid, he was shocked. Who had paid his mother's bills? Director Choi? Did he know my mother was sick and that the lease contract was about to expire? Director Choi always draws a clear line between work and personal matters. So Kim Hoo-seok, besides Director Choi, is the only one who knows about my mother. Even though he thought a lot, he still couldn't figure out who it was. Impossible. He is the type of person who only cares about his own interests and ignores other people's feelings. He doesn't care about the pain Hun Seong might endure if he transfers jobs with me, and he even exploited my mother's situation to persuade me. He's truly shameless, with no regard for my feelings. Cut to Seong's office, where Director Kim hasn't been seen for a long time. At this moment, Hoo-hun brightly asked, I've been a bit busy lately. Have you finished the song? So he replied, yes, the animal's animation was completed a long time ago and has been sent to the technical team. Upon hearing this, Hoo-hun was quite surprised. Was the song playing that one? No, this is the new song I composed for spring. Seong's talent is unexpectedly exceptional. The spring theme song feels like spring is already in the air just by listening. He excitedly patted his head at the same time, saying, even though you're busy with the project, you still found time to compose such a great piece of music. You must have practically lived in the studio, right? Don't pat my head. However, he still seemed happy. Your hair is a mess like a bird's nest, so what? A moment later, Hoo-hun softly asked Hun-seok, Senior, is your offer to transfer still valid? Immediately he replied, yes, it's still valid. If you agree, just say so. Hoo-hun quickly replied, saying that if I switched jobs, I would be promoted to team leader. However, if I bring HS, can we negotiate the salary again? Even if I leave, it must be handled smoothly. Back to reality, Hoo-hun told Seong. I heard you got an invitation to join the Musicians Association from Chaebo, stop hiding in the studio and go out to socialize, but he bluntly rejected his offer. Suddenly, he noticed something on Seong's table. Is this a rental agreement? You just bought a house not too long ago. Did you really invest in real estate? When it comes to important investments, don't be reckless. Just when I figured it out, I was planning to move. This surprised him a lot. He had only rented the house for half a year and was already moving out. After moving house 6 months ago, you've achieved incredible milestones in just a year. I'm very proud of you. The project has just ended. Don't overwork yourself. Hoo-hun then said, I have to go now. Si-young asked in surprise, so soon? He quickly explained, your OST will be released at midnight. I need to visit the marketing department. Anyway, it'll succeed. The animal-themed OST has been out for 3 days, so it's not an album by the artist from entertainment company LS, which means not everyone is paying attention. But for those who know Hun Si-young, it's a big event. The response from Japanese audiences has been very positive. Since its release, manager Kim has come to the studio every day to update me on people's reactions. He went to say, since this is not an officially released song, we cannot track specific data, but it seems to be very popular. This is a good start for a gem song. Hoo-hun is now extremely excited. You've worked hard, so let's go to lunch and let me treat you. His action made Si-young feel confused and ask, are you showing off by inviting me to lunch? What is there to show off about? He quickly explained the reason. Our entertainment company's cafeteria is famous for its delicious food and variety of dishes. Moreover, there's also a buffet. However, Si-young calmly suggested, let's go out to eat at the restaurant today. I'm in a good mood. This offer left him feeling a bit disappointed, then suddenly blurted out, you invite me. What are you saying? Split in half. That's what it means to be rich. Switching to the outside of the company, Hoo-hun mumbled, could this really be the apartment you bought? You invited me to eat just as an excuse. The real reason was to show off, right? To make him jealous. Hoo-hun looked at his apartment and had to admit, it was really beautiful. His eyes held a feeling that's hard to describe. A while later, he suggested checking it out more thoroughly, but he declined, saying that since it was a house you chose, it must be beautiful. Is that the Han River? Yes, this area is a bit far from the Han River, but you can still see it. The luxury of the apartment left him speechless with admiration. It's amazing. Who wouldn't want to live in a place like this? Suddenly, Si-young quickly asked, so do you want to live here? This question left Hoo-hun confused. Hey, stop it. Don't joke like that. Yet he insisted, I'm being honest, which only made him more shocked. Don't you know that being honest can be even more dangerous? This field is complex. If you keep being soft-hearted like that, you'll be torn apart by a pack of wolves to the bone. Nevertheless, Si-young admitted one thing. Manager Kim isn't a wolf. Moreover, this is an apartment I bought for investment, no debt, just need to pay taxes in full, no interest. His strange behavior made Hoo-hun suspicious. What's wrong with you today? Don't you know that the closer you are, the clearer you have to be about money matters? Hearing him mention this, Se-young immediately affirmed, that's right, the closer the relationship, the clearer things should be. So, go ahead and sign the rental contract with me, tenant. But at this moment, Hoo-hun still wondered how a salaried worker like me could afford to rent this apartment. He gently requested to review the contract before making a decision. Even at this point, he stubbornly refused. I told him to forget it and to find someone else. Let's go, it's time to work, but Si-young won't accept it, just sign the lease with me. Even though I persuaded him many times, Hoo-hun still refused the offer. It's fine if he's stubborn today, but I don't want to rent, I only want to buy. Renting is like throwing money out the window. Suddenly, Si-young shoved the contract paper right into his face. I'm practically renting it to him for cheap already. Hoo-hun immediately read the numbers in the contract. 11, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. He had to exclaim in shock, 100,000? How is that possible? Why are you like that? Suddenly remembered the messages that Hoo-hun had sent to director Hoo-sok. At that time, he admitted that it was still valid. Hoo-hun was worried about his salary at that moment, so he mustered all his courage to text the director. What is the salary? It seems this decision left him quite confused during that time. A while later, Hoo-hun drafted a new message. If I don't bring HS along, is it possible to transfer the job? However, the director suggested, it's best if you bring him along. I don't think HS is everything to you. We should meet up to talk. Are you free this Friday? He agreed with the director. I once intended to take advantage of you. Do I deserve your kindness? Having mentioned this country, Hoo-hun still firmly refuses. After all, this is an unfair deal, and I can't accept it. At this moment, Si-young is questioning, is it really a loss if it affects his future? So isn't that an investment? If you live here, you'll be closer to the company, so you can take better care of me. Hearing this, Hoo-hun suddenly realized, you mean asking me to bring food to the studio for you every day? Got caught by him already. It seems this has made Hoo-hun very touched. It's truly unbelievable. He asked if you were a kind person. Then he suddenly lifted his head with a satisfied smile. Se-young sighed and said, what are you talking about? He performed very well, but he couldn't. Si-young suddenly said, manager, if you leave now, you'll incur a big loss. Without your attention, musician HS won't be able to perform at 100% of his ability, and that will harm LS Entertainment. After a few minutes of contemplation, Hoo-hun had to agree. I understand now. I can't let my company and my musicians suffer any loss. Let's just go sign the contract, landlord. Upon arriving, Seong finally broke into a joyful smile. Let me start the car for you. Feel free to take your time looking at the house and come down when you're ready. Don't worry, I'm sure you've picked a good place, so how could I just leave you? On the other hand, at a cafe in the city, I was deeply touched by how you acknowledged my abilities and made an offer. Director Hoo Seok responded with a smile. Come to our company where we value your talents. However, in response to that offer, Hoo-hun coldly rejected it. After learning that Hoo-hun rejected him, Director Hoo Seok was shocked. What? Could it be that you refused because you didn't want to go against Director Choi? I know you're a responsible and loyal person, but let me tell you, you can't last long in this industry by living like that. However, Hoo-hun countered that, I know I'm not making a hasty decision because of emotional issues. So the director hurriedly asked, why did you refuse? You need a lot of money to pay for your mother's hospital bills now. Her condition hasn't shown any signs of improvement. There's no plan to promote you, Kim Hoo-hun, at the entertainment company LS. And more importantly, don't you need the money? Hoo-hun spoke up. I don't want to do something ignorant, driving the artist into a dead end for money. And thank you for caring about my situation, but it makes me very uncomfortable. I understand perfectly well about my mother's house-moving situation, so please don't worry about it. Hoo-hun finished his sentence and left immediately. Director Hoo Seok failed to complete the plan, so he was furious. Switch to a large mansion. Thank you for your help. I thought I wasn't the kind of person with such a kind heart. Then suddenly a senior spoke up. So will you survive and help others in the future? Seong immediately replied, of course not. Why should I give the money I worked so hard for to someone else? And then he sighed. Oh wow, it seems like that kid has become part of the family now. It seems like Seong is still holding on to something. Not exactly like that, but I feel regretful. So that's why it turned out this way. People often regret because they feel they are at a disadvantage, but a person's heart is not something that can be bought with money. At this level, it must have cost a considerable amount, but can money really not buy it? Hearing this, he wondered, are you asking sincerely? Seong quickly asserted that the person had achieved what was most necessary. What the manager really needs is not money but something else. If I could help with money, I would have done it already. Money is just a means. But he rejected it. I mean, be careful. You never know when or who will be stabbed in the back. The more you have, the easier it is to be targeted. Family is no exception. However, Seong also admitted it, yes, but even so, I cannot win that person's heart. But if only I could understand the world that person is living in. Animal Island became a hit game right from its launch, but over time, more and more players are quitting, and the game is facing increasingly serious bugs. Animal Island's hardcore players are very dissatisfied with the Ninsit production company. Sometimes, Jem Chimmeo Dori goes live to express outrage about this issue. She looked annoyed and complained, saying that even if it's just an entertainment gem, there should still be some content for the experts, don't you think? Suddenly, a chat message appeared. Dory, have you heard about the new OST2 Animal Island? Dory heard and immediately responded, they just focus on those songs and neglect the game? Suddenly, she widened her eyes in surprise. Oh my god. Then suddenly, he shouted loudly. Hearing that, everyone in the chat channel wondered, why did you shout like that? It startled us all. Try listening to the theme song. It's no joke, Dory asked in surprise. Wasn't that just the theme song I heard? It seems the song amazed her. Dory gradually let go of the keyboard on the desk. At the same time, with tears in her eyes seeing that, the entire chat channel immediately asked, Dory, are you crying? If you're sad, please tell us so we can share your feelings. Dory quickly wiped her tears with her sleeve, thinking to herself, how could she touch the hearts of animal lovers like that? This needs to be shared with everyone. A moment later, Dory spoke up. Hey guys, this time let's do the challenge curtain with the theme song. What do you think? I think we need to let those who are feeling down and turning their backs on Animal Island know about this song, even if it's just to comfort them. At that moment, countless people started asking in the chat why it suddenly involved Korea. Yes, that's right. The author is a Korean named HS, who is also the composer of the previous album for Chini. I tried searching and found out the original songwriter. How did this person manage to sweep the Ricon chart so easily? At this moment, Dory wondered how he could put this feeling into a song. Dory's interest in HS immediately drew her attention to the Ninsit bulletin board, and thanks to the first time Dory created it, the song became even more popular. Transitioning to a room, director Choi spoke up. I never expected to receive good news from such an unimaginable place. Hoo-hun happily said, "That's right, this isn't something recorded in the report. On Japanese websites, Kiyomu Chalan is trending with the topic being the official OST this time. So Seyoung really is talented. At this point, I don't know if I should say he's just lucky, or if it's because he's truly capable. He keeps succeeding like this, so it can be said it's thanks to both luck and skill." Hoo-hun smiled brightly and continued, "Seyoung is both talented and lucky. His future will surely be even more successful. He is a kid who does everything with his own ability. Not to mention that someone who doesn't believe in absolute success and is overly cautious will never be trusted. It seems there's finally a reason to trust this kid." Suddenly, a message was sent to Hoo-hun. "I'm sorry, the Gemnin Sit Company sent an email, so I need to check it briefly." Director Choi was puzzled. Ninsit? Why would they send an email? Hoo-hun quickly explained that they wanted to confirm the meaning of the official OST title Void through the author HS. He was curious and asked Department Head Kim if he knew why the song title was Void. "I am also not sure about that, so it's not like what the online community is speculating." On the other hand, after returning to Hoo-hun, he couldn't stop complaining. He then asked Seyoung about the meaning of the name Nothingness. Seyoung responded, meaning, "Oh, how empty it feels." Hoo-hun listened in a daze, feeling empty. He added, "Nihilism stems from emptiness." After a while, a message appeared. In Korean, huvo means nothingness. In Chinese characters, it's mu, which isn't present in ho. In Japanese, it's kiyo-mu. With that meaning, this is a song that holds the emotions of the character. Someone immediately responded with admiration. Even the team leader had to marvel at HS's abilities. Hoo-hun suddenly spoke up, "Seyoung, this time remember that the song's title is merely about emotions," but he still pretended not to understand. "What do you mean? It means emptiness when it's empty, but why?" That wasn't its original meaning. "I'll give you 10 meal tickets, so next time just say it like that." Just a few hours later, the news was abuzz with information that the song title Huvo by HS was chosen because it embodies an illusory emotion. Countless people immediately commented in admiration. Hoo-hun with dark circles under his eyes spoke up, saying, "Sihingeo, we need a hot topic like this. Even just appearing once is fine, but being the main judge would be even better," Moon-seok said anxiously. "I've officially invited you 5 times already, of course. I refused all 5 times." At this moment, Hoo-hun suggested all they needed was Chaebo. He seems very pleased with this decision. Transitioning to an office, there is an incoming call. "Hello, this is Haiseo from the Music Star program. We contacted you earlier." "Yes, hello, but regarding the invitation." Chaebo's manager wondered, "I thought I had made my intention to decline the invitation clear, so why is he still calling?" "Come on, don't be so rigid. Can I talk to Chaebo?" "As you know, Chobo is very busy, so he can't talk directly." "Could you pass the message to Chobo for me? I have something important to say." Right at that moment, Chaebo came over to ask, "Who is it?" "Oh, it's someone from the Music Star show. Could it be that Chaebo is also there?" "Oh sure, please keep it brief. Chaebo is also listening." Chaebo didn't regret anything more than losing out on his previous solo album sales. The manager was puzzled, asking why he brought it up now, but Chaebo advised to just let it be and see what happens. The person on the other end of the line continued, "Isn't it time for Chaebo to try and wash away the shame? Although it's not certain yet, there's a lot of talk about HS performing. As far as I know, he absolutely will not perform, not even in a public interview. However, I've heard that if Chaebo shows up this time, he will definitely perform. We will prepare for Chaebo to make a grand comeback. If we make it to the top 10, we will host a performance featuring works from both of you, as our television station can handle all the dirty stuff, so Chaebo just needs to compose a great piece of music." "I am Chaebo?" Immediately, musician HS also announced big news. "Chaebo, please donate to the organizations as promised." Just at that moment, a phone call came in for Moon-seok. Damn it. Could it be that he didn't take the bait? On the other side, Choibo replied, "If that person joins, I will come too." While Seyoung was practicing the piano, someone came in and pleaded, "I told you it's not possible. Given our relationship, how can you treat me so coldly?" The main character sighed and responded in frustration, "What about our relationship? If others hear it, they'll misunderstand." The young man said resentfully, "What's so hard about asking you to tweak it a bit for the concert?" After reading the latest news on his phone, the young man's eyes showed clear astonishment. Honestly, how can an article be published without prior agreement? Next up is a series of hot news flashing before your eyes, Chaebo confirmed as a judge at K Singta. "I want to collaborate with HS in the role of judge. The endless battle, will Chaebo and HS face off against each other once again at K Singta?" The production team K Singta, we will use 2 songs composed by HS and Chabo in the final match. Mentioning Ki Sung Ta, Sung started to ponder. If I remember correctly, the first season successfully captured the audience's attention and achieved the highest viewership record among domestic music shows. Now, they have held 10 seasons and become the nation's music program. At that moment, Che suddenly spoke up. It seems I also received an invitation from this program. You too? The young man asked in surprise. The man replied, yeah, but from the beginning I declined because I had a concert schedule and I didn't like it. Si-young quickly added, seeing the ambition in this year's jury lineup, it's clear the production team is sharpening their knives, ready to go. Hoo-hun suddenly asked, do you want to fight Chabo again? The young man firmly refused. No, I'm no longer interested in Chabo. Then I will post a correction and resolutely decline the invitation, the other person said. Only Che is still obsessed with that. Is it really not possible? Just one time, the male lead quickly explained. I said I'm very busy. No matter how much you pay, it won't work. Ask the tech team for help. After K Singta's resounding success, many music shows appeared but didn't achieve the same level of success. Will the solitary production team succeed? As Si-young thought about this, he suddenly remembered something. Without delay, the K Sangta show that I happened to watch in my previous life. I remember in the second round, there was a solo female contestant with just a guitar, sitting and singing on the ground. The song, with its Indian-inspired melody and vocals as sweet as wine, swept through the market. But the judges failed to recognize the potential within the girl and eliminated her right from the preliminary round, after which she vanished like a gust of wind. If she's really that talented, I'm sure she's quietly making music somewhere, but after debuting as a composer, no matter how hard you search, there's no trace of her. For this reason, Se-young changed his mind at the last minute. Manager Kim, I'll come. Where are we going? Hoo-hun asked curiously. The main character thought to himself, since in his previous life, he wasn't a composer. In this life he boldly said aloud, Kei Sin Guta. The young man looked confused. Don't you hate showing your face? Se-young replied. That's true, but can life always go the way you want? Then he took an item out of his pocket. This one. This is a spring song I composed recently. It's just the melody for now. Holding the USB in his hand, Hoo-hun asked, Is it a spring song? Have you decided on the singer yet? The young man replied, Yes, it seems like Arin's voice will be a perfect fit. After hearing that, the other person didn't seem too surprised. Once again, it's Arin on the bumpy road. In another corner, the girl quietly read the sheet music over and over, A Handful of Cherry Blossoms. A Handful of Cherry Blossoms by composer HS is a song about the vibrant cherry blossom season, a gentle and warm tune. Next, Arin pushed the door open and entered the room with an excited look. Musician, I'm here. I can't believe you'd call me again, Se-young coldly replied, overreacting again. Have you practiced yet? Of course, after receiving the file, I practiced really hard, Arin replied excitedly. The young man got straight to the point. Let's start recording, okay, the other person responded cheerfully. During the recording, Se-young suddenly noticed the piece of paper in Arin's hand. The paper was carefully annotated by her with the important parts. This made the male lead ponder deeply. In just a few short minutes, the recording was completed, and the girl exclaimed in amazement, Is that it? Really? It's okay to end like this? Yeah, it's done, Se-young replied indifferently. Arin started to overthink. You're not hurt anywhere, right? It's not because I'm annoying that you wrapped things up carelessly, is it? Hearing the words, through the lens, the young man's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Seeing this, the girl had to tone down her words no. In her heart, she thought, I don't know if he will recognize me, or if it's just that I've grown so much that I now meet his standards. Anyway, this intense recording session ended after just 3 takes. Right then, Hoo-hun suddenly appeared. Se-young, both people in the room exclaimed at the same time, Chief, hello sir. Se-young quickly turned to Arin and said, I'll contact you when the recording is complete. Is it done already? It usually takes you a few nights to finish recording, right? Hoo-hun asked curiously. The young man immediately denied the false rumor, saying, What are you talking about? Are you implying that I'm a cruel musician tormenting singers or something? The other person countered with a question. Then he hesitated and said, Anyway, I have something to tell you. I lost the USB you gave me. I'm really sorry, it got lost in the company. That's why you can't always feel secure just because it's inside the company. I thought Se-young would blow up, but he just calmly said, Let it go. Hoo-hun was surprised and said no, someone who picked it up could have bad intentions, and someone could have bad motives and stolen it. The male lead replied, Anyway, you are still holding the original recording. Moreover, If someone in the company finds it, they will either return it or throw it away, as LS Entertainment is already very sensitive to copyright issues. Unless you're a fool, you'd never use a USB drive you found at the company. And that fool appeared at LS Entertainment Company. Hoo-hun said, I received information that the publisher decided to release the song A Bunch of Cherry Blossoms, and that song is very similar to A Bunch of Cherry Blossoms you sent. Looking at the original sheet music on the computer screen, the man was deeply sorrowful. Even someone who isn't an expert could tell the two pieces were identical. Se-young agreed with that. The other party apologetically said, I'm sorry, I should have kept it safe. The male lead, of course, didn't blame him but only thought to himself, yes, that's right. Being a large company doesn't mean everyone thinks correctly. Hoo-hun said to use the spring-colored konexep as the theme for the entire melody of the song, and to keep the chorus almost the same, Tim Myung-moon has sent this song. It's the team led by director Bak. At this point, the guy couldn't help but exclaim, that's intense, why would he do that? First, don't worry too much, I'll arrange the plagiarism documents and send them to Tim Mayman, but at that moment, Se-young spoke up, no, I will go myself. In front of the company, the young man politely said, I hope you can help me. Director Bak cheerfully replied, yes, you've worked hard. He said and quickly entered the company, thinking to himself that Ha-trun could be just as good as a debuting singer. This big music event will be held, right? I heard that Kei Sing-guta, when passing by the room where everyone was arguing, found it quite rude that some people dragged themselves over here. Hoo-hun calmly responded, what rude behavior? We are making a formal request. Please cancel the digital music release you sent to the distributor. Se-young also chimed in. On that day, I handed over my song to the label, but Tim Won had already handed over a version very similar to my song. I wanted to ask Tim Won's thoughts on this issue, and the man on the other side responded angrily. Are you saying that Tim Won stole Tim 2's song? The cold main character said, I tried to beat around the bush, but knowing this would happen, I should have been direct. The man shouted without any reasoning, this kid, I know your personality is very unusual, but acting like this is just funny. Right then, Director Bak suddenly appeared, angrily shouting, what's going on here? What exactly is happening? Seeing him in a fit of rage. Tim should still be cautious, Director. The story is that Tim Hai unexpectedly came forward claiming they were plagiarized. The man, after hearing this, hastily dismissed it as nonsense, saying it's just childish. Lately, you've been spoiled too much, so you think the company is a place where you can just run around wherever you want, huh? Se-young didn't want to back down, and since the CEO is already here, I'll get straight to the point. I gave the song I plan to release this fall to the manager Kim Uet-bi and told him to listen to it. But whether by accident or design, that USB drive was lost. After completing the recording, I sent it to the publisher, and they told me that a few days ago, someone had sent them a song identical to the one I composed. Director Bak immediately retorted, hey kid, do you have any proof that my people took that USB? The protagonist replied, I don't have any proof, but isn't releasing a new song at this time too much of a coincidence? And the key point is plagiarism. Director Bak seemed skeptical. You talk about music piracy so easily, he said. In this age, with hundreds of songs being released every day, you can't call it plagiarism just because a few lines are similar. Se-young still stands by his position. No, I think if it were Director Bak, he could judge whether it is plagiarism or not. Do you want to listen to see where it's similar? At this point, Director Bak raised his voice and said, forget it, we don't need to. According to what you said, isn't it possible that you could be copying our group's music? Right now, the young man is announcing a surprise, this song. I registered the copyright before giving the USB to manager Kim. Hoo-hun was left speechless after hearing that. What, really? Se-young said, let's find out who composed it first and whose song it is. Suddenly, everything fell silent. The young man continued, Director Bak protecting and taking care of his own livelihood isn't a bad thing, but don't take away someone else's. I hope you judge carefully and act quickly. In the room, Director Bak asked, the song Tim Hai said to be plagiarism is the spring ending one, right? Yes, that's correct, Se-young quickly replied. Hearing this, the man spoke up and asked Tai-hoo, let me ask you a question. So-ping ending was created by you alone, wasn't it? The young man hesitated that matter. Right after that, he had to admit the evil thing he did. I'm really sorry, which made the team leader furious. You jerk. What were you thinking, daring to plagiarize music? Aren't you afraid of copyright issues within the company? Don't you know how sensitive LS is about plagiarism and didn't consider the consequences? You're claiming to be an exclusive songwriter after doing that? Tae-hoo spoke up to clarify, I really didn't know that was Se-young's song. I found a USB in the bathroom and checked it out. It didn't have a name and only had some humming vocals, so I think it's a demo. The man kept complaining. You call that an excuse? Can you really plagiarize a demo? Are those the words of a songwriter? Taehu said bluntly. The manager knows too. I haven't been able to compose a complete song for a year because of the crisis. Moreover, Tim's performance isn't great. I just want to help Tim somehow. Hearing this, the manager got even angrier. Don't use Tim as an excuse. It's just because you want to regain success. At this moment, Director Back interrupted. Department Head O, that's enough. No matter how angry or how much you curse at him, it won't change what happened. LS Entertainment is a company that manages copyright issues more strictly than any other. Even after purchasing a demo for several 100,000 won, you still have to go through the legal team to complete the procedure. Not only that, exclusive musicians not only face doubts or accusations of plagiarism, but also later deal with disputes demanding contract cancellations under the condition of stopping royalty payments. And you dare to plagiarize a fellow musician from the same company, which has strict copyright regulations? It's no different from confessing to theft in a police station. No matter what, Manager Kim will not let this reach Director Choi or the chairman. I will handle this matter. Manager. Oh, please contact the publisher right away and request to cancel the release date for the new music product. Before leaving, Director Back left a piece of advice. Take care of your heart. Please compete using your own abilities. Stepping out of the room, the man's mind was filled with the criticism from his subordinates. The phrase compete with real ability didn't come from the mouth of Director Back, right? Yes, no one said anything anymore, and everyone knew about withdrawing the document sent to HS compete with your own ability was no different than a dog calling a cat hairy. Why could he say something he couldn't even do himself? Facing these criticisms, Director Back didn't want to argue. He just kept walking and didn't look back. At the same time, a team was filming. The girl suddenly appeared and said, Sunbae, long time no see. The man was surprised when he saw her and exclaimed, Donga. Everyone there is talking about it. The third round of qualifiers still has a lot of contestants, huh? Today, it will probably take until night to finish. Many friends come and get too nervous, scared, and then give up because their parents are against it, so it will be done soon. Looking at the empty chair, someone asked, Whose spot is this? Chibo, right? Another person replied, Yes, Chibo will be the main judge, but he decided to be the judge for the Gyeonggi region along with Kwon Chin. That's the spot. Before she could finish her sentence, a voice rang out, Hello everyone. I am musician HS, honored to meet in person like this. Seeing the person in front of them, everyone found it a bit hard to believe. Was it HS? The main character quickly explained, Due to personal reasons I have to wear a helmet, hope you understand. The man smiled and replied, Isn't it enough to just do well as a judge? It's fine. Everyone there felt that Seung was a strange guy. Why was he wearing a helmet? Let's see. Was it because his chin stuck out, or because his face had a lot of spots? There are many rumors about him, we just don't know them. Do Hui thought to himself after hearing that there had been many concerns about HS wearing a helmet. He suddenly remembered the previous terms, to wear a helmet and appear in the previous episode, not to be asked to remove the helmet. In case the helmet falls off and reveals the face, it must be edited, not to force or interfere with the judge's comments. That's it. With the words of this man, the judge is very curious about the appearance of HS. If in the previous episode he didn't take off his helmet, people would lose interest, and who knows, in the future, if he appeared on shows wearing a helmet, he might be criticized and boycotted. Most importantly, the TV station director also asked who was wearing the helmet on live TV, as it might not have been Hae-sung. Do Hyuk added that no matter what, the Hae-sung side must ensure that these terms are absolutely not altered. So I'll go meet CPNM to resolve the related issues. The man wondered, without needing a form, that was the purpose. So can you show me the benefits he will bring to the program? Only then can I convince the TV director. The young man said, Isn't it obvious? He will turn it into the greatest music show in Korean history. In addition to wearing helmets, all contract terms and fees for each episode must be the same as Chaebo. Only then will HS's appearance be guaranteed. Shortly after, the loud-voiced man announced the start of filming the opening scene. On this side, Donga said, HS, I'm very pleased to meet you. The indifferent male lead replied, Yes. The girl started by asking, It seems you got stuck in traffic on your way here. You arrived a bit late today. However, Seung doesn't seem very comfortable. I arrived before I started filming. Is there a problem? After hearing this, Donga thought to himself, What? That sounds great. Very soon after, the first scene was filmed. K Singuta, hello everyone, I am Lee Dongchin, the host of the Seoul area. Today is the third round of the qualifiers. Our contestants have prepared a lot. Stay tuned, everyone. Backstage, someone called out to the girl, Chae-yu. Please stick the registration number on your shirt. When your name is called, step onto the stage. The third qualifying round in the Seoul area of Kaesing-jeosita is allowed to begin. And the first contestant, number 283, as Chae-yu stepped out, caught the main character's attention. With a gloomy look and an old guitar in hand, the girl timidly introduced herself at that moment. Hello, I am Chae-yu, contestant number 283. In her subconscious, when I was young, what protected me when I was lonely was not family, nor friends, but this simple, humble guitar. A few minutes ago in the restroom, the girl suddenly shouted, Mom, Dad, if I fail this time, I will sell this acoustic guitar. Please don't let me give up on the dream I've cherished for 10 years. In the judging area, Donga was still curious. It seemed HS kept rejecting the contestants. The cold young man replied, By my standards, they lack capability and potential, so I'll pass. Yes, that's right, the girl quickly added. At that moment, the man suddenly spoke. I see Chunso's younger sibling is about to arrive, Donga said. If it's Chunso, he's famous lately for his monster voice. Does he sing as well as his brother? I am also looking forward to this person, the man asked curiously, and the woman immediately replied, Dan Kim is a finalist in a famous international talent show. I watched the show too, and this person's voice is amazing. I bet he will also make it to the top 10 here. Hearing that, the man turned and asked, Do you know anyone named Dan Kim? Seyoung replied, Yes, I've watched this show too. The other person continued asking, What do you think? Do you think this person will make it into the top 10? The guy replied, Let me see. I'm not really someone who cares too much about the contestants, so I don't know. Donga asked, So in your opinion, HS, which contestant will make it into the top 10? Seyoung was stunned for a moment after hearing it. As soon as he was about to speak, the sound on stage interrupted the conversation. Hello, judges. I am Chae-yu, number 283. Seeing Donga, she thought to herself that this was a singer whose face and name she had never seen before, so she quickly asked, Can you tell me a little about yourself? Chae-yu replied shakily, I live in Seoul and am 25 years old this year. I hope the judges will help me. Donga quickly offered words of encouragement. It seems like you're really stressed. Just be honest and sing comfortably, nah. Right after that, you the contestant directly sit down on the stage. Making Donga utterly confused, he sat on the floor immediately. Chae-yu still sat quietly, thin as a sheet. Calming myself down inside, don't shake, just act natural. Her eyes suddenly noticed Seyoung, thinking to herself that if it wasn't possible, just see them as a piece of plastic, by the way. Who is that? Immediately after, the girl started playing the guitar and hummed the song, Don't Pity Me Anymore. Just after singing the first line, Donga quickly signaled to stop. I think that's enough for now. Chae-yu couldn't believe his ears. He had only sung one line. Donga thought to himself, that girl had a charming voice, but just like when she introduced herself, the sound scattered like dust due to her soft and lisping pronunciation. In short, when she doesn't even have basic vocal skills, anyone watching would feel discouraged. It was a captivating voice, making her a gem worth nurturing, but this is a selection center, not an academy. There's no time to wait for that gem to be refined. Perhaps that's why Donga bluntly refused to pick the recent contestant. I don't know if it was the issue with the self-composed song or vocal ability, but throughout the performance, you failed to showcase your unique charm, Chae-yu. So I didn't choose you? The man next to him also seemed to agree. Chae-yu's voice was quite appealing, but I didn't think I had the skills to highlight that tone. I'm sorry, but I don't choose silver. The host made an announcement. Unfortunately, contestant 283 Chae-yu, we're sorry, but please step off the stage. Suddenly, the male lead spoke up. I have a question. Yes, please go ahead, HS, the other party responded. The boy asked curiously if using sup-pio-pat during the preliminary round was allowed. Upon hearing the word sup-pa-pat, the judges there were all stunned. Even Chae-yu was stunned in place, that person. As HSU, after the recording was posted, social media was flooded with articles about HS using super-pat in the qualifiers. Chabo clicked on an article and said this was illegal. HS and I wrapped up the story about confirming participation in the program 3 days before the first broadcast began. We are on standby without sending a promotional song to Min's company. HS used the super-pat before the broadcast began, and it looks like he pulled out a knife. In the end, Chabo sighed in confusion, making the manager wonder if it was because the TV station was fishing for views. The man said, HS, yesterday I asked the production team to watch the contestants' video where HS used super pads. It was terrible. The voice, pronunciation, and basic technique were all average. Nothing stood out. It's so absurd that I thought she was a trainee from LS Entertainment, but it turns out she's not. Could it be HS's strategy to gain attention? Chabo leaned back in his chair and laughed. Anyway, see you at the finals, Miss Che-yu. Time passed, and the fierce preliminary round of Keisinjeota came to an end, just as a handful of cherry blossoms from Seong was released. The song was so popular that it made the charts just one day after its release. While walking down the street, the main character suddenly stops. Around the time Kaesingta was getting ready to air its first broadcast, an unexpected visitor came to see Seong. They stopped by a nearby cafe and chatted. The man started by mentioning that a new batch of cherry blossoms had immediately made it into the top 100 as soon as it was released. It was such a warm melody that I couldn't believe you wrote it. Seong casually said, "You waited for me outside the company just to say that? Our relationship isn't close enough for you to go out of your way to congratulate me on the new song release." Director Back quickly explained, "I know, that's why I came to resolve the plagiarism case of the song A Handful of Peach Blossoms by our group. As you can see, a bunch of cherry blossoms has been safely released, but the song from the first group was cancelled. Music composition is a sensitive issue, so please continue to cover it up and don't say anything. Accordingly, I will accept all internal company losses. In return, as the person in charge, can you help me handle this smoothly?" Hearing these words, Seung looked extremely surprised. In his mind, Director Back has shown no remorse for his wrongdoing until now, and now he lowers himself and bows. I guess he wanted to protect his teammates, so he went that far. The lead character calmly said that since everything had returned to normal, Director Back would neither suffer any losses nor be held responsible. The man, upon hearing this, looked stunned and asked, "Haven't you reported this to your superiors yet?" The young man replied, "Yes, I didn't do that." When the other party asked why, Seong said it was because a handful of cherry blossoms had been safely distributed. "Since there are no issues with the release of the new song, I don't see any point in reporting it. Remember the times I got angry for no reason?" Director Back felt uneasy. Seong continued, "Over time I have seen some unpleasant things, but I hope there will be positive changes in the future actions of Director Back, the man who also admitted his mistakes. During this time I have felt guilty towards you. Even when I did that, you didn't expose it." In another corner, the young man excitedly opened a can of soda. "Finally, we can check which singer Seong used the super patch. The program is broadcasting. Kaesinguta's nationwide audition will start right now. Oh my god, it's finally starting. So many people at the audition, just as nerve-wracking as the second round in the Seoul area. When will HS finally show up, I wonder? Did HS appear from episode 1? Wait, shouldn't I ask if he actually made an appearance yet? If those surprise articles hadn't popped up, it would be a bit much. Chabo didn't show up? I heard Chabo was supposed to be there too. It will probably appear to promote the new song, but that song is already so good it doesn't even need promotion. The new song by HS is about spring, and as soon as you hear it, you immediately think of spring. If you want to talk about just HS, go to his fan cafe and discuss it there. So when will Chabo appear? He hasn't shown up yet, has he? Just by looking at the comments, you can tell they're from Chabo's fans. And what about Chabo? He's joining, right? There's another Chabo fan again, a real hardcore fan. There he is, HS, he's finally appeared. But is he wearing a helmet? What's going on with his height? Even his posture is different, super handsome. Hey, could you please lift up your visor? His outfit today is so on point. She stepped onto the stage and introduced herself. I am Sei, contestant number 238. I live in Seoul and I am 25 years old this year. Please sing as comfortably as you can. Why did she suddenly sit down? What on earth is going on? It looks like she's about to do something. She's really talented, and with a guitar we already know she can sing well. I can't wait. Isn't that your friend HS getting a special pass to the next round? I hope you don't feel guilty. That is the song she is singing, and the judges are enjoying the melody. The voice is decent, but the whole performance feels off somehow. The vocal technique sounds like mumbling in a conversation, just too ordinary. Could it be that this person wasn't given a special pass to the next round? Someone earlier said she had a lot of potential, though. Then the judge gave some feedback, so I didn't choose you. It's really unfortunate, but I didn't choose you. Suddenly, HS told me he had a question. In the qualifiers, it's possible to use a wild card to advance to the next round, right? His words made the show have to use a censorship method. The online community is buzzing, saying, "What is this, a joke? This guy Seong," thousands of comments criticize him. Confirm with the television station whether we need to wait another week. Is it true? Who exactly is it intended for? Please check with the station after 30 days. Sei is currently sitting at home watching the show. I will give you a pass to the next round, CI. In return, practice and sing the song I ask for perfectly in the final round. She wondered to herself, why would HS use the privilege for someone like her? She shook her head. Stop worrying needlessly. The answer is very clear. It is the guitar and the lyrics. On the day of the final round, someone please attach a microphone inside HS's helmet for me. Please, they are getting ready. Suddenly, the dresser seemed to notice something and stood there bewildered. When she heard him ask if she was done, she finally came to her senses and said, Yes, I'm done. Please, this way. Hello everyone, HS is here, right? Why is that friend wearing a helmet so funny? Donga said wearing a helmet is nothing. He already used a wild card to get through the preliminaries. I've heard about how he hides things in front of the media, but seeing it in person, it's truly ridiculous. He turned and asked, Chabo, do you know HS? No, today is actually the first time I've met him. We need to shoot the opening scene so everyone should talk naturally with each other. I am really looking forward to this contestant. They performed very well in the previous round, Donga said. I am also curious to see how they will perform this time. They have a lot of potential to be a star. I'm also quite curious about that contestant more than others. I mean the contestant CI whom HS gave a wild card to in the preliminary round of Si-un. Since I have only heard about the use of privileges but haven't witnessed it directly yet. Si-young also said, I'm really looking forward to seeing how well she performs. After the opening recording concluded, the performance officially began. Capture the contestants who have taken the stage to perform music. The long recording time made both the judges and the contestants tired. The next contestant is the girl holding the guitar strapped to her. Isn't that person Sei still looking gloomy? Finally, I met the hottest contestant of Season 1 of Singer Ta. Is it me? Sei asked in astonishment. Weren't you the contestant who made the top composer HS use the special privilege right from the preliminary round? Yes, I am very grateful for the opportunity that Mr. HS gave to someone as flawed as I am. In this final round, you will perform the song that HS specifically requested during the qualifiers, right? She confidently replied, yes. Last time there was a risk of elimination, so I hope this time you will do really well for the sake of HS's reputation. At this moment, she sat down on the stage and focused on playing her song. HS is focusing on listening to the melody. Those melodies, though unfamiliar, are so catchy that they make listeners sway along with the music. Sei is currently deeply focused on his music playing. Those melodies keep floating. They are incredibly beautiful. The introduction is very soulful. This is a slow-paced song. Will the vocals blend well with the song? So she began to sing the first melodies. She just sat there playing the piano and enjoying the music. The judges were very surprised. Chabo at this moment seemed to discover a musical genius. The entire studio was now immersed in the melody of the song. Everyone was enjoying listening and felt completely surprised. Sei breathed a sigh of relief because she had performed very well. Sei, you must be kidding. This song fits your style perfectly, completely different from the ones you've sung before. Her friend's encouragement somewhat made Sei feel less confident. Finally, it was time for the host to announce the results. All approved, and she did it too. I met Sei once at the Seoul qualifiers, but I thought it was a completely different person at that moment. I commented that your voice didn't suit the song, but actually, the song itself was the problem. Today you did very well. Her face looks much happier. Thank you, judges. She bowed her head in gratitude for being recognized by them. I was genuinely surprised to the point of forgetting what to say. I couldn't imagine you fitting so well with such a gentle song. On the contrary, the charm of your voice seemed to be revived, refreshing the aura within you. I'm really looking forward to your next performance in the next round. You've worked hard. I have no idea what happened in the qualifiers, but if it were me, I'd also give a special pass to someone with such talent. Otherwise, there's nothing I could do but hit the selection button immediately. They say if you stay in the industry for a long time, your eyesight and senses will gradually dull. I have watched the qualifiers of CI dozens of times. I am a top producer in the industry. I can't detect this hidden potential. HS cheered on her friend who had worked hard. I look forward to your performance in the next round. At this moment she was very happy, and smiled brightly, thanked him. Is it really possible to believe that just one song can change a person? You predicted Sei's voice would fit this song from the audition round, right? So this is why everyone is into HS lately. You can recognize a raw gemstone that others can't see. Hello, judges, the young man appearing on stage. You are a strong man named Ha-trun, hoping for your help. You applied for the audition, and I must say, this contestant is worth it. Ha-jun is a trainee from LS's management company. Ha-trun, you've passed the first round, thank you, strong man. Ha-trun, you must be very happy. Ha-trun, the host, spoke up. You sang wonderfully and even got the original author's autograph. Your friend Ha-jun has an exceptional sense of stage presence, not inferior to those singers with years of experience. Instead of feeling worried, I'm truly impressed by the way you perform on stage. Yes, especially the smile when you hit the high note at the climax. It's like you're fully enjoying the stage. Just your face alone is enough to debut as a celebrity. Participants in the first round of the Hatron finals. He is a singer with a style that makes it easy for him to perform any song. Although he's a singer I haven't met in my previous life, I'm sure that after his debut, he'll become the hot topic of this show and will easily surpass the break-even point. If that's the case, let's listen to the review from the original author that everyone is eagerly awaiting. HS has finally spoken up. First of all, I really appreciate you for choosing my song. I believe Hatron's star quality is a natural gift. However, I can't say that your natural sound is good. If it's a natural sound, are you talking about singing? Hatron wondered. But that is an area where improvement is made through effort and has its limits. Hatron was in the waiting room and happened to see Ci. You're Sei, right? The girl nodded vigorously. Yes. I am Hatron. Can I sit next to you? He smiled warmly at her. You must be really busy since you've passed the first round, but because it's a team event, the second round will start after today. Even so, I'm really glad this isn't the bus ride home after being eliminated. There are so many seats. Why sit next to me? She felt extremely uncomfortable. How did you know my name? Isn't it strange that you know it? You are the high-level hidden one who has been chosen. Even a regular impression from a magical voice can make others feel very cool. People talk a lot about it here and there. I just want to run away now. You must be really shy usually, Hatron asked Sei. How could someone like that challenge at an audition like this? She hesitated, not knowing how to respond to him correctly. He finds her antics incredibly funny. I think we'll see each other often in the future, so let's just gradually get closer. The next day, 100 participants had passed the finals and gathered at the communal living area. Everyone had worked hard already. Have you all rested well over the past day? It would be great if you had a little more time to rest, but this place is a fierce battlefield. Unfortunately, we have a mission to complete. Let's start the second round mission right away. Please go to the front where the names of the judges are posted and line up according to the judge you wish to see. Each judge will see a total of 20 people. After the selection task is over, I will explain. Now everyone, let's move. The judges are all famous musicians and singers, so the task is to receive a one-on-one evaluation from the singer or musician you choose, or you will sing their song. And the fact that there aren't many people there means it's not just me thinking this way. HS is stingy about giving advice and tips to Dat. He seemed to realize that the person was actually Sei. He seemed to stand there contemplating something. Now that the selection time is over, everyone stop moving. Today's round 2 task is a one-on-one survival match. You can set up the stage freely with a song written on the brightly lit billboard. Sure, here's the translation. It turns out the time limit is 3 hours. 20 participants chose the song by HS. Will only 10 people survive here? Then let's reveal the match sheet right away. Just keep rotating, pairing people to compete against each other. Every opponent is strong and formidable. Sei and Hatron are now waiting for the result. 2 people are also each other's rivals. This coincidence left both of them utterly astonished. My dad wants to become a singer? Thank you, son, for sharing your dreams with me. What did you say? You want to become a global singer? It turns out you're very ambitious, Hatron. Fine, because I'll give you everything you want, so go ahead and challenge me. I plan to use winning this show as a stepping stone to successfully debut. Since that's the case, we must win. Ci is also very focused on her song. She is incredibly enthusiastic. Ha-jun is deep in thought, not knowing what to think. I met Ci once during the Seoul qualifiers, but I really thought it was someone else. Maybe at that time I judged the song's harmony with the voice wasn't very good, but the song was actually the issue. I heard that voice so beautiful that it made everyone turn to look. This can't be right. How could things change so quickly in just a few weeks? Hatron was reflecting when he received a message from the manager. I've already adjusted and modified it to fit your pitch. I just need to sing well and get recognized, he thought to himself. Only 30 minutes left, the program side is increasingly limiting time. Great, it's perfect. The manager has sent the modified version, so we can just give our best effort and practice. Now Sei is in this round. That person is still improvising, and he noticed that she is working hard on her song. She is diligently writing down. Before the match began, the judges discussed the upcoming battle eagerly. Donga spoke up, suggesting that due to time constraints, the criteria were only adjusted for the volume of the variations, making it difficult to guarantee that someone would be eliminated in a one-on-one fight. The man responded immediately, saying, Really, I often feel like I want to eliminate both, contrary to what you're suggesting, Donga. Then he asked HS, "What do you think?" Seyoung replied, "I think the same." Hearing that, Donga asked, "So you want to fail both of them?" He held the contestant's information sheet in his hand and responded to the girl, "Yes, because there wasn't much time to practice. Only this time the pressure was too much due to mistakes. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Actually, things like that are just excuses if they come to this place. Isn't it true that when you enter the forest you must fight to the death to survive?" At this moment, the host announced, "The participants in the Chai should wait temporarily next to the stage, while the participants in the hot run will enter immediately." Che walked towards the waiting seats. Donga said to the judge next to him, "Seems like the outcome between the artist and the singer is clear now." The person next to him replied, "Even if it wasn't, these two are still the hottest topic right now since their first broadcast." Donga rested his chin on his hand and continued, "So one of the two will be eliminated today? The production team is using such a tough, ruthless approach." Che sat at the back, not worried but admiring the studio, because stepping onto the stage made the studio look so big. At that moment on stage, Hatrun had presented himself to the judges. The host asked, "Hatrun, the time is very short, so have you prepared well?" He gently lifted the mitt up, took a deep breath. Then say, "Yes, I did my best." The arrangement is done in a way that doesn't significantly alter the original song. The adaptability level is enhanced to adjust the height easily and reach the peak further. But it didn't stop there. I looked at many videos of Chini and repeatedly recorded my own songs to include in them. By developing my skills in improvisation, I will be recognized for being better with instruments compared to Chai. He started singing, as if today we could just walk together, as if today we could forget everything and just walk together. Chai heard the melody and was amazed, truly talented. Deep and serious emotions with no pressure. How can one portray such a relaxed and multifaceted expression? The judges sitting below also closed their eyes, feeling it with their souls. After the performance ended, Donga began to comment, "Participant Hatrun, you worked hard. I heard it was great, and since this is a one-on-one battle performance, after listening to the song from the participant Chei, we will proceed with the evaluation." Hatrun was excited to hear this and thought to herself, "Okay, for this level, it's enough." It's Chei's turn. The host starts the conversation. "You're the participant of the miracle, right? Chai has shown impressive progress in the previous round. How will this round go?" The girl responds, "I've worked really hard." Dong-A saw the instrument in the contestant's hands and said, "So you're going to play the guitar directly this time too? I'm really looking forward to seeing what new guitar techniques will be added to Chini's song." "Then start the song now," Choi calmly sat down holding the guitar. Hatrun sat in the chair, also nervously waiting to hear what Chai had prepared. As she watched the people on stage, that gaze was also quietly and intently fixed on HS. Chai began playing the first notes, humming the song. Chebo sat quietly, enjoying it, as if confidence, trust, reliability, and a sense of responsibility were floating. The unfamiliar melody instantly felt familiar. Chai's way of playing the guitar surprised the judges, overwhelming the set with intense and rhythmic beats. The original song has a slow and soothing rhythm, not a variation of the original song in just 3 hours. Can perform in their own perfect way, leaving people astonished and dumbfounded. At that moment I realized I couldn't recognize the hidden strength of that girl, which HS had already seen. Even though it's somewhat unconventional creativity, the unique melody and vocals make up for that to some extent. HS, who recognized this miraculous ability, gave her the opportunity to showcase it in the final round. If the girl at the audition follows, she will be guided in the best direction by switching to a different song. After a while, Che finished her performance, breathing heavily. She had given it her all and had no regrets. But why? No one says anything. Indeed, it is an irrational number. At that moment, Chebo made a comment. "Chei, can I ask why you're considering improvising and walking together like this?" Che is introverted and awkward in his responses. "It's just that I constantly worry about how to adapt things to fit myself, so I'm sorry for not having learned how to adapt things on my own and wanting to try to do it well. I'm truly sorry." Chebo heard that and thought for a moment, realizing it was indeed a variation based on feeling. Then he spoke up. "No, I heard it very well. You've worked hard." The host said, "So after the judges finish their discussion, they will announce who is eliminated." At this moment, the judges gather in one place, discussing. Chei's remix was shockingly good. If the original song is a piece that fits the dark, moody atmosphere and seems to offer a calm comfort, then Chei's version is like the comforting pat on the back from a girl telling you to hang in there. Someone says, "You've never studied this, but you can transform it this much?" Donga pondered and said, but that doesn't mean Ha-Trun is inferior. Chei is very distinctive, and if you say you're looking forward to the next stage, that was the most stirring stage among the ones we've walked together today, and it evoked deep emotions, while Ha-Trun's song was a stage where you could feel the sincerity and genuineness, as if you wanted to keep listening. The judge was headachy and yelled, the production team is really indifferent. Why on earth do we need to put both of them together? Seong spoke up at this point, saying, in that case, let's go with the majority vote. Follow the direction that focuses on what you want rather than worrying about others' choices. We'll announce the final eliminated person of HS. The host announced to the two contestants that the participant whose name was not called would automatically advance to the next round, and they could leave the stage without receiving individual feedback. The eliminated person, he acted mysteriously, making everyone even more anxious. The person who was announced is the participant Ha-Trun. Hearing his name called out for elimination, Ha-Trun stood frozen, unable to believe his ears. The host explained, the judges here listened to 20 people singing together and walking. Among them, the song performed by Ha-Trun was the second best. Not sure if this sounds harsh to you, but it's just that your performance wasn't great. Ha-Trun whispered sadly, thank you. You slowly walked off the stage. Even if I didn't ask the judges to give me a chance, I couldn't even reach out to the company and beg for help. Because of that girl's victory, it's quite deserved. While he used assistance from the company, Chi-Che kept struggling and trying his best. The determination was evident in her eyes, makes him unable to not be impressed. I smiled silently at myself, a person who couldn't win even after taking shortcuts. I felt ashamed for feeling relieved when I saw that girl fully immersed in her song arrangement for over 2 hours. And that girl, who had no doubts about her love for music despite any situation she faced, was so cool. I don't want to go home, stay on stage a bit longer. Suddenly Seong came from behind and asked him, are you planning to continue singing? Are you going to give up just because you failed here? Ha-Trun startled at the sound of the voice. Hearing the question, he shouted, no, I will continue. At this moment, Seong handed over a business card. Soon I will give you a song. Right now, someone is watching the live show, Chei on stage stammering an introduction. I live in Seoul. This year, 25 years old, name is Choi, call me whatever you like. Then she continued to hum the song, delighting the audience. The mysterious person with the trembling mouse in hand, unsure whether it was out of emotion or anger. On the other side, at his company, Ha-Trun received a big box. He asked, what is this? The person handed him the answer. This is a side dish, pickled Napa cabbage, radish kimchi, dried radish, stir-fried radish, braised radish, fried radish. Ha-Trun was astonished. The other person explained, some people like radishes. These are the special dishes I woke up early to prepare for Ha-Trun in our group. Ha-Trun hesitated a bit. Radishes. Thank you. Now I have to go. Then you quickly slipped away. The man's smile had faded. He just stared intently at Ha-Trun's back. Still can't believe it. HS saw the contestants' profiles. You must know that Ha-Trun is an intern in Group 1. So embarrassing I could die. Ha-Trun sat silently on the chair, pondering something. At that moment, someone stepped forward and called your name. Hearing that familiar voice, it was indeed HS. Seeing his surprised expression, Seong wondered, why so surprised? The first time seeing Seong in real life left Ha-Trun speechless. He's so handsome. No, he even looks younger than I imagined. Ha-Trun pushed the boxes of food in front of the protagonist and said, this is a gift I prepared in advance to thank you. Seong picked up the item and complained, what's this mess? Ha-Trun quickly explained, it's not money, it's food made from radishes. I heard you like radishes. Seong heard that and asked back, do I like radish? Ha-Trun, caught off guard, felt embarrassed. Are you really the musician HS? The main character leaned back, ran his hand through his hair and said, could it be fake? What a silly question to ask. Feeling his head, Shung suddenly realized something was off. I forgot my helmet, Ha-Trun spoke up. Before talking about the main song, I have a question. Recently I heard there was an unfortunate incident between Group 1 and 2, and I think that has already made you quite upset. But why do you care about me? Seong gave a quick answer. I just liked it and wanted to give it a try. Playing musical instruments can be done in any situation, right? Hearing this, Ha-Trun's cheeks flushed red, and the musical instrument. I spent most of my training time with his songs, so when I need to choose a song to practice, keeping an eye on his songs has naturally become a habit for me. Actually, I really admire you. Even though I was eliminated from the show, I was still very touched when you personally gave me the song. Seeing that he was a bit too excited, Seong said, hey, don't get too ahead of yourself. If you want to work with me, you first need to pass a test. Ha-Trun eagerly responded, let's do it. No matter what the challenge is, I'll give it my all. Seyoung heard that and asked, even if I have to play the recorder with my nose. Ha-chun was confused. What? Seyoung casually replied, just kidding. The song I prepared for you is a summer-themed one. You know the song A Handful of Cherry Blossoms, right? It's a spring-themed song I released a few months ago. I'm planning to make an album with a summer theme based on that type of song. Spring was the softer version, so this summer I want a passionate, energizing song. After finishing, I will call you to the studio. Ha-chun heard this and said loudly, yes, I will do my best. After that conversation, Ha-chun calmly walked outside. At this moment, you encounter Director Bak standing outside waiting. He came over and hugged him joyfully. You can return to K-Singuta now. Ha-chun couldn't believe his ears. What on earth? Forget about that. The story shifts its focus to another character, Da-jin, a contestant who remained unnoticed throughout the K-Singta show. The top 10 spot has been left vacant as she withdrew following the school violence scandal. The producers agreed to let Ha-chun swim upstream. Now we just need to reach an agreement with the jury about the pre-selected candidate. Finally, you are here, HS. It's been a while, Chief Kim. Everyone sat down at the meeting table. A man spoke up. The reason I invited you here today, HS, is to announce the upcoming top 10 selection round of K-Sin-Geota. First, I want to confirm this. Among the current contestants, only Ha-chun has signed a contract with the entertainment company LS, right? Manager Kim immediately replied, that's correct. As everyone knows, in selection programs like this, there are often people chosen before the program starts, and during the process, there will be connections between major entertainment companies, so the top 10 has been decided in advance. So I'll share this list and hope everyone will be more flexible in their evaluations. Don't worry, Ha-chun from LS Entertainment has also been chosen. Seyoung looked at the list and asked, what about Chae? Head of Department Kim immediately explained, oh yes, contestant Choi will also be eliminated this time. Seyoung wondered, if he had to pick the top 2 contestants of the show, wouldn't they be Ha-chun and Chae? The person across from him explained that there was no room left for the previously selected individuals, and interest was waning, so the network decided that even if they continued to exploit, Chae would no longer be profitable. Seyoung continued to ask whether the entertainment companies on the list had invested in these contestants yet. Hearing that, he hesitated and said, well, there was a contestant who was not initially on the top 10 list, the contestant Du Tru. But recently, she signed a contract with JN Entertainment. JN promised to make a big investment to ensure Du Tru reaches the top 2. Chief Kim, hearing this, thought to himself, JN must have been arranged by director Husok. The department head spoke up. What about Ha-chun? I heard LS didn't make any investment, but since the entertainment company LS has good relations, they brought Ha-chun in, right? While everyone was talking, Seyoung thought, Chae has no company, no money to invest, so it's no longer valuable. The man across from me smiled and said, since it seems like you're paying attention to Choi, I had to call you out for a private conversation. Unlike other judges, that's the internal situation, so I hope you understand and cooperate. Seyoung stood up and said, it's up to you guys, that's not my business. But if that's the reason, I will step back too. Others were shocked upon hearing that, what did you just say, planning to back out? Seyoung explained, the only reason I joined K-Singta was because of contestant Chae, but if that reason is gone, then why should I stay? A person suddenly got angry, pointed at him and shouted, hey you, just because people are praising you, you think you're above everyone now? Aren't you afraid of having to compensate the television station? Don't want to appear on TV anymore? Seyoung, if you hear shouting like that, shout back. What about the contract compensation? If you need money, I'll pay. At first, I was not planning to participate in the program, and it was you who tried to persuade me. I didn't want to appear on television, so if the relationship with the TV station deteriorates, I won't participate anymore. It's no big deal. Head of Department Kim sat on the side, pleased. You're amazing, kid. There was a reminder, hey Kim, hurry and stop HS. You immediately replied, CP, do you think HS is someone who can be easily deterred? If you can't make any concessions, I'll do it this way. I will give Chae an undeniable reason to get into the top 10. All right then, instead of a top 10, we'll make it a top 11. Chae, after hearing the news, exclaimed in shock, what? Are you saying? Sign an exclusive contract with LS Entertainment.